Hey, everybody. Welcome to Throwin Wrenches Podcast. This is Eric Stahl.
And I'm Daryl Scott. And welcome to the auto podcast that found the low water mark.
Ooh, is that a slam on Daryl Scott?
I didn't write that.
We'll talk about it later.
I did read it.
On this episode of Throwin Wrenches,
we have a guest, and he's not Gabe Casey or Regan.
What?
Yeah.
Jay Leno's garage has a fire. Daryl knows all about it.
And Teslas and salt water apparently do not mix.
All that and more on this episode of Throwin Wrenches Podcast.
Hoping that's it.
Here he comes.
Let it go.
Bop, 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 bop.
No Shania Twain this week?
No. We need to come up with something new because I don't know. No feedback on that, by the way. Speaking of feedback, if you want to be heard on the show and you want to be heard all around the world, just cast a review on iTunes, and I'll be happy to read it. I checked again. There are no reviews on iTunes, which is odd because about 1,000 people listened last week. But where are you folks at? No pressure. I did hand out a sticker because some guys rated us. A couple of my reps came in from Toyota, and they rated the show with 5 stars, I think.
I thought you meant they rated us like the FBI broke in.
Yeah, rated.
Looked through our record.
No.
We got audited by the IRS last week.
Just change one word. Changes everything. Anyway, the pre-show, or the intro there, we talked about maybe a low water mark.
Yeah.
I don't want to cast stones or disparaging remarks about my co-host.
Oh.
But maybe we had a little production glitch in the last show. So,
do you really think it matters, Eddie?
No, nobody said anything. As a matter of fact, I think Don said something. I said, no big deal. No.
Yeah, it's okay. Let me just explain this. And I will say, yes, I could have done a better job producing this last program. However, to my credit, I used Eric's method of multi-track recording instead of my tried and true method because my laptop sucks. So if anybody listening is from the North Pole, in Santa's bag this year, I would really love to find a new laptop.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I'm just going to buy one.
Yeah, you've been using that thing for a while, and so we were recording the last episode, and I think it was like 5 minutes in, all of a sudden it started chopping and buffering, and you couldn't watch your waveform on the screen.
Right. I was recording with Real Player.
Yeah. What skin were you using on that?
Yeah, the bento. No, it sucks. I need a new laptop, and some say I might need an iPad.
So anyway, we use the new Zoom recorder. Thanks to the Patreon listeners for giving us that Zoom player, but just need a little extra tweak on the production. No big deal. But we found the high water mark within the last 10 episodes, and maybe the low.
I'll do better.
All right.
I'm going to own this. I'm going to take accountability in other corporate words.
Thanks. I'm going to need you to work Saturday, Daryl.
That'd be great.
All right. Hey, if you don't know my co-host, Daryl Scott, he can rebuild a carb or he can frame and trim out your basement rec room. He's a guy to know when you need to get stuff done, unless you're Gabe Casey. He's Daryl Scott.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Are you laughing at Gabe?
Yeah, that's pretty good. He needed a laugh track in there. Well, for those who might not know my coworker, he might be in the middle of Movember, which is why my co-host is sporting a very nice mustache, by the way. But he looks stylish in any season, even when he's wearing a Patagonia coat while camping at elevation on a trail run. I don't know, do you have those?
I do.
Or wearing a poncho on a coffee plantation south of the border. We're all waiting on that beard, though. Really, he needs to come in. He's the seasonally mustachioed Eric Stahl.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I do have a Patagonia coat, but when I got it, it was on clearance because I really didn't want to be walking around representing Patagonia. But
are they a bad company?
No, there's like a stigma that goes on it, and it's not about politics. It's just, you have a Patagonia,
Was your avocado toast to go with
believe me, I paid $35 for it on clearance, all right?
Okay.
Hey, if you don't know our third person in the room, it's Tim Oyer. Tim, he creates smiles like he's the ice cream man driving down your street. But instead of handing out those sugary sweets, he gives you the key to his SCCA race car. And he says, let her rip. He's more generous. He's the most generous man I've ever met. He's Tim Oyer.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong button. There we go.
There we go.
That's better.
All right. Yeah, we'll get with Tim here and talk all kinds of SCCA here coming up. But first, we want to thank our sponsors. Thank you, Ford Toyota Pekin, longtime sponsor, almost first-time sponsor, right?
Yeah.
They're our second sponsor.
Second one.
Yeah. They can be found on the web at www.toyota-beacon.com. Find all their new cars and their used cars. We got 3 Highlanders last week. Oh, spoiler alert. I do work at Ford's.
Oh.
We got 3 Highlanders in last week, and man, everything's going, but we're starting to see some inventory stick around, so it's been a lot of fun. And Toyotathon starts and goes till the end of the year.
You got a new Sequoia in the lot?
We sold our first one instantly, and we sold our TRD Pro in that bright orange, that Tundra.
Yep. Nice looking.
It was cool. It was...
Is it too flashy for you?
It's intense.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one? Ever seen the pictures of it?
I've seen the pictures of it. It's definitely... if you like loud vehicles, it's the color for you.
It's attention-grabbing for sure. So anyway, yeah, check it out. Talk to a salesman. Like I said, www.toyota-beacon.com. They're in North Pekin, Illinois, 15 minutes from anywhere in the Tri-County area. Look them up.
And we'd like to say thank you to our other sponsor, Mr. Gabe Casey, who we had a little adventure. More on that in the projects in recent weeks. And we'll have him back on the show, and he'll definitely have to fill you in on what is going on in that garage of his, because it's a lot. Some of us don't even know what all is going on. But it's going to be fun. And thanks also to our Patreon members. If you got the pre-show, we had a lovely discussion with Tim, our guest here, about any and all things Ford Escort ZX2 related, which is really cool.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about autocross history and things like the Dodge Neon ACRs and stuff from back in the day. We even talked about a Mazda Protege, which nobody's talked about ever.
No.
Cool cars, though.
Yeah, we talked about tons of stuff. So that was a great pre-show. And also, you Patreon folks, you send in your sizes for, the swag that's coming, but I think I'm still missing 1 or 2 of you. So make sure you get back to me on the size you need on a fresh T-shirt.
info@throwinwrenches.com. Hit us up there and let us know.
All right. So first segment of the show, we usually hop onto projects. I do want to talk a little bit about Tim, though. Before we hop into all this, so you guys all know who Tim is.
We got a level set.
Yeah, I think I may have mentioned Tim last summer when I was talking about doing autocross.
Yeah, you mentioned me. Jason mentioned me about that test and tune that we did over in Pekin.
Yeah, but it was that the day that you let me drive your car?
Yeah,
and
I think so.
And I was just grinning ear to ear. So first off, you're the local connoisseur of the Ford Escort ZX2.
I'm one of the few.
Yeah.
Anywhere. Yeah.
And so I think when I first met you, you were driving the yellow one, but then you have a dark blue one.
Yeah, dark blue one is a chassis that replaced the yellow one. So my first one I bought in October of 2000 from Mike Murphy Ford in Morton, and I got that in high school my senior year. Kind of messed around with it, got into autocross, modded it.
We talked about this in the pre-show.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because I don't know many guys who were in high school, buy a car, and then decide to autocross it.
Yeah.
Is there a family history?
No, not really.
Was there a friend? Like Daly had a great story about how Matt Shepard got him into it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you have a friend or anything who was doing it?
So, no. I bought the car. I started kind of playing around with it, modifying it, because, a lot of my friends in high school, it's like before Fast and the Furious came out, modifying their cars. I ended up going to the military, took it to Alaska with me, and then Florida and back. Somewhere in there, I was just sitting on online forums, and I was like, why am I modifying this thing? And everybody kept talking about autocross. Yeah. So I was like, I want to try autocross. So 2007, I got out of the U.S. Coast Guard. I went up to Joliet, Illinois, did my first autocross, and I was like, yeah, this is for me. I had done so much to the car already, though, that it was like in kind of a modified class. So I kind of scaled it back a little bit. Campaigned that car for a while in what's called street touring. And then it got banged up. It got into a couple crashes because I was daily driving that car as well. And that's when I found a yellow Ford Escort ZX2 SR, one of 2000 made, and it was just a chassis. I was like, you know what? All I need is a chassis. So all of the engine, the trans, the interior even, everything out of the original black car went into the yellow car. And then the yellow car had a fatal death.
That car was loud. I remember standing on next. As we're basically doing our stations out on the track. Uh-huh. That yellow one was screaming loud. It's like it didn't even have a header on it. It was just, I don't know what the hell you had going on in the exhaust.
The exhaust is 2.5-inch stainless steel catback. It's got a resonator and a muffler, but probably what you heard was the individual throttle bodies. Okay. So I have 4 intakes, one for each cylinder, and it's just a straight shot into the engine, and it's loud.
It's all custom, right? None of that.
I built those ITBs. They're actually Mikuni's from a GSXR 600 motorcycle. And I took a Focus SVT manifold, chopped it up, and put these throttle bodies on them, synchronized them and spaced them myself. Built the engine computer that runs it and tuned it all in and everything.
So you didn't just go buy a Mega Squirt? And
it is Mega Squirt, but
okay?
It is a custom job. There's actually a guy, he's local now, Jeff Hurkis. He's another Escort weirdo like me. He's got an SR. He brought it out to Pekin as well. He's the guy that he built my computer. So the Mega Squirt, you have to like wire everything in individually. He made an adapter board.
Is this some kind of a throttle injector type thing?
It's the computer that runs basically the spark and the fuel.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Standalone ECM.
Yeah.
A lot of serious folks do it.
Oh,
obviously, like Tim, it's not something your weekend hobbyist is going to go do.
I can make changes to my tune between runs at an autocross with this.
Yeah,
thing.
and so I'm always focused on just staying as B Street. I'm trying to stay as close to whatever factory stock is.
Right.
You're well beyond that.
Yes. We got it going with that. He built an adapter board for me that we basically plug and play the stock wiring harness to this thing, and there's a lot going on in there. But this car, I snapped an axle in Rantoul, Illinois. I didn't have a trailer or a tow rig. I was still kind of daily driving the car. My dad came to pick me up, didn't tie it down to the trailer correctly.
Oh, no.
As we were getting on the interstate, it rolled off and ended up in a tree.
Holy crap.
Anybody get hit?
Nobody got hurt or anything. It was,
So does Dad buy a new car when that happens?
No, he was kind of happy it happened. He's towed that thing home for me so many times. I think his first comment was, "At least I don't have to tow that thing again."
Were there some other colorful words in there?
No, it was a very silent drive back to St. Louis. The front end of the car ended up being pushed in 2 feet. And I was real torn up about it because I had one of the last rust-free Ford Escorts in the country.
It was a good body.
Yeah. And that was already the second chassis I'd had. So about a year ago, actually, I found the dark blue one. It was a single owner in Carbondale, Illinois. I drove down, could not believe there wasn't a speck of rust on this thing. So I gutted it. I took everything out. I put everything from the original black car, the interior, the transmission, the suspension, the engine, everything from the original car I bought in high school is in that dark blue one now.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a labor of love. And I actually have a Facebook page for it. It's called FSP, which is the class it races in. FSP ZX2, a saga in adversity and stubbornness.
Everybody needs to log into
that. Yeah. So, I'm very stubborn because I've kept the same car for so long. But
when I met you when we were, I think pretty much met you through autocross at Champaign, you would be running the Fiata as well.
Yeah, so when the yellow car died, my daily driver was a Fiat Spider, the 124 Abarth.
Nice.
Hypnotic red with the 1972 Corsa Bravo racing stripe, the heritage stripe.
Abarth? I shouldn't say Abarth anymore. I say Abarth.
Abarth? I don't know.
I would like to know.
When I watched the YouTubers from across the pond review the car, they always said Abarth.
But they say Prius too, so I never know.
That's true.
Maybe.
So yeah, I've got this little Fiata that I ran in C Street for 3 years. Yeah,
it looked like a ton of fun.
It was a great car. I still have it. I'm thinking about selling it.
So I didn't know him that well, and I thought, oh look, he's graduated from those Fords now. He finally got a nice car.
No,
not necessarily.
I was so happy when I finally got back in the Escort. It just does things that it shouldn't do, and it's a piece of me. There's just so much of my life put into developing that car and custom made one-off parts that nobody else would think of making for an obsolete.
How great is that?
Econobox.
Well, that's what's fun is you have something that not everyone has.
Right.
You've taken advantage of a lot of the benefits of that platform and added on, made it better.
Yeah.
For folks who are probably Googling a ZX2 and being like, what the heck is this? It's really kind of that in-between step from the older, Mazda-based. Well, it's still kind of a Mazda-based car, right?
It is. Yeah, it's a Mazda BG chassis.
But it's not your typical Escort that we kind of think of when we think of Escort, and it's in that weird in-between before Ford went to the Focus in, 2000, something like that?
Focus was, about 2000. The ZX2 ran from 98 to 03.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was a coupe, like an actual coupe with a trunk and everything. It wasn't a hatchback.
Right.
And it shares a lot of underpinnings with which Mazda? Is it the...
It's the BG chassis, so the Familia chassis, which would be the Protege, the 323. And it was similar enough to like the 626 and the Probe that suspension parts and stuff would swap over.
Nice.
And even transmission stuff. So.
Seemed like a lot of Mazda stuff did that. I know that I'm trying to think of the other. The 323, like the Mercury Tracer had that 16-valve twin cam motor that was pretty peppy. So there's a lot of really cool things to do. I had a friend of mine years ago that had a Mercury Tracer, and he wound up getting some go fast parts off a 323 GTX and making that thing. It was another one of those, you show up at a race and people are like, what's this guy doing?
Oh, yeah.
And he had big decals made up that said like T Racer, like a bigger R instead of the Tracer. It was funny, but I think all told, he probably had about $1,800 in this thing, and he just went and embarrassed people. It was great.
But the funny thing about that, I mean, so we're talking about those cars. The ZX2 has a look to it that doesn't scream sexy same way that the Mazda does.
I don't know if you've met Dave Fincham. He's from like Chicago area. I think he lives in Michigan now. He's a really good announcer for SCCA events. I'll say really good, but he's very charismatic, and he always has something to say about everybody's car. And what he has to say about mine is that it looks like I'm a high school girl working at Kohl's. Like that's the kind of car you see in the parking lot. And the funny thing is, when I show up to events,
high school girls are offended by that. By the way,
when I go to events, or now that I've been campaigning the car nationally, and that people come up to me and they're like, "Man, I had one of these and I loved it." But more often than not, my sister had one of these and I love driving it.
It is one of those, but you think back to that time. We've had this discussion before where we talk about kind of that entry level, either a hot hatch or sport coupe with a decent motor that could be fun to drive and cheap. Those offerings aren't like a Civic right now. A Civic with like some sporty stuff on there is $28,000, $30,000.
Oh yeah.
So those types of cars when they were new were probably in the upper teens, like 18, 20.
I bought mine for $11,300.
Isn't that crazy?
In October of 2000. Yeah.
I mean, even adjusted for inflation, that's a good price.
Oh yeah.
So when you look back at that, though, and in the pre-show we talked about this too, like the Saturn SC2 or the Neon, even not the ACR, just a regular Neon with that 2-liter motor. There were a lot of the Mazda Protege. There were cars out there, Sentra SERs. There were things that you could drive on the weekend. Drive to work every weekday, and on the weekends go autocross or have fun. Yeah. And I feel like that's still probably out there, but it's not at that cheap, affordable, anyone can do it level.
Right.
I don't know. Do you agree with that? Or
I agree with that.
If you were to go buy something comparable today, walk into a Ford dealer, what would you even buy?
A Ford? I don't know. They stopped making cars.
Yeah.
they even literally just said, like, we're just going to make the Mustang. Like, it's all crossovers and SUVs now. So
see, this is one of those typical conversations, though, that Daryl gets into, and obviously you're an enthusiast of cars. So to prove the point, I Googled, the Ford ZX2 just to see if you were alone on this island.
And was my name the first thing that came up?
No, the results came back. When I clicked on Ford ZX2, and I clicked the news tab on Google, 2 articles came up within the last 2 weeks, one from hotcars.com, the other from Jalopnik. And the titles of these articles are, "These are our guilty pleasure cars, 10 coupes that used to be different, but now they're just weird." But there's people talking about the ZX2 still. Yeah. I'm actually going to let you guys continue with this conversation because I didn't think it was legit.
The ZX2 is just it's a quirky little car. I think it looks kind of nice. It's like I said, a lot of people have had histories with these cars, hand-me-down cars from family members or things like that, and it was just this weird offshoot of this time where Ford and Mazda got together and did something fun. So this is actually that was the first car that I owned from Mazda that wasn't a Mazda, and now my Spider. My Fiat Spider.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about the relationship there. Yeah.
The Fiata. So it's half Mazda, half Fiat.
Yeah, that car, my daughter, she's like, "Dad, that's what I want when I graduate college." And I'm just like,
I know a guy who's selling one.
Yeah. Well, she's got another semester to do it. So
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
But she liked, though, that
I think
the
there's
regular Miata wasn't enough. She liked the Fiat.
There's something about the lines of the Fiat. Yeah. It's bolder lines.
It's a Miata and an Armani suit. Like I think it looks better.
Yeah.
It has a little more overhang. I think it's 5 inches longer. It's like 100 pounds heavier. The engine's got more power. It's better like mid-range. It's great for like daily driving.
So they made in Japan?
Yeah, it's made in Yokohama. The engine was shipped over from Turin, Italy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then one of the weirdest parts of the car, I got mine with that heritage stripe I mentioned. It's a flat black, kind of a throwback to the rallies. That was hand painted in Detroit. It was like a $2,000 stripe. They actually grind down the red and hand paint the black so that like when you feel from the black to the red on the hood, you can't feel the same.
It's not a decal. It's legit paint.
No.
See, that's the kind of stuff.
That's the weird little thing.
That's the way the Italians work.
Yeah, I know. So it is a
we'll
Mazda.
Guarantee that will rust. There'll be a nice rust line.
I have
between
never driven that car
colors.
in salt.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think you even said before you came up here, you were like trying to see what the salt situation on the roads were.
Yeah, I was going to drive it here, and it was 25 degrees out, and I was thinking about it.
You're one of those guys.
Yeah,
top
down, no frown. Yeah. Sun's out, guns out.
That's awesome.
A knit cap, maybe at least.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
A woolly hat, windows up, heat on the seats, and
Neat. Yeah. So after you have a taste of that, though, and then you go back into the ZX2. What's that like on race day? Because you campaigned both cars, right?
The Spider was outgunned in autocross because, like I said, it has mid-range power. It's very punchy. It's good out of the corners, but a lot of autocross, especially nationally, is like maintaining speed at the top end. So it ran out of breath at like 5,000 RPM. It's got a itty bitty turbo, but it was a really potent car, like locally.
Yeah,
it did really well.
Nice.
I loved it. I need to scale down my stable right now. So I'm going to get rid of the least practical car I have.
I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to do like Daryl, just buy a different house with a bigger garage.
Right. Yeah. I'd love to.
Yeah. Or get storage units strategically placed all around the Peoria area.
Yeah. Get a friend who runs a storage business.
Right.
No, it is funny you mentioned that, though. We do have a longtime listener who is a Fiata fan. And,
oh, nice.
You can follow them at Paper Maps and Coffee on Instagram.
Okay.
They take road trips with it. They did a big Western loop this summer. And I think he said they got like almost 40 miles per gallon or just over on the highway. And I'm like, and a little turbocharged, like
it's a 1.4 liter.
It's
four-cylinder.
Seriously.
Yeah. Wow. Eric, you've heard it at the track.
Yeah.
I mean, with the Euro spec muffler,
it
rumbles.
obviously didn't leave the impression on me like the ZX2 did.
Yeah. What did you think the first time you saw me with the ZX2 out there doing that thing?
Everybody's that guy's a madman. That's the kind of stuff you hear from people. He's a madman. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I was kind of new to the sport at that time, but you were making a hell of a ruckus out there at Pekin Airport, and I'm like, whatever's going on in that car, that guy's having a ton of fun. But it's so out of whatever I'm doing over here. In the pre-show, we talked about the $2,000 car challenge. When I first got into autocross, we had a $200 car challenge. So I'd gotten a Celica.
You had the red Celica. I remember it.
And that was a $200 car.
Yeah.
And got some decent tires for it. A customer gifted me some 100 treadwear tires, and I put a cold air intake. And then I found out I got outclassed instantly by just doing stupid modifications like that. And then I put coilovers on it, and the car never stood a chance. But we had a ton of fun. I never backed it down like you did.
Yeah.
I just ended up getting different cars, but
no, I showed up to my first autocross with like a carbon fiber hood, and, like a body kit and everything, and people were like, "Oh, this is like street modified." I was like, "No,
it's not.
I'm running 500 treadwear tires."
I think the first time I went out, even with a cold air intake, I had like takeoff tires from a Camry that we traded in or something like that, and they were just screeching all over the place.
But barely hanging on.
But it's okay, and we just kind of all did it as a dare. But then once you get a taste of that, I remember. I may have told this story on the show before. My wife came out at lunchtime with a Subway sandwich. She's like, "Oh, I brought you lunch." I'm like, "Okay, that's great." I was so amped up. My adrenaline was so high. I think I was like caveman eating that sandwich. And my wife looked at me like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like,
just pumped.
Yeah.
I was pumped. I remember you just be like jittering as you're like
autocross is. You lose the jitter over a while.
You do. I've gotten past that, but the first ones were like adrenaline rush.
But it absolutely is. And I've kind of stepped down into a coaching role now. I have found that riding with other people, especially novices, that they don't really know how to position a car. They just throw it like they'll ride with me and then they'll try to do the same thing, and it's just not the same.
No, Daly coached me and made me a much better driver.
Oh yeah.
But then you fade because you need, if you're not good at it, you need to practice, and it's hard to practice 3 times a year like I do. You can't practice and drive and just do it 3 times.
But the coaching thing has brought its own exhilaration. Riding shotgun with some of these people it's like a roller coaster.
Oh sure.
Oh, it's absolutely. And when they can start shaving, like, hey, why don't you late apex that, and why don't you get on the throttle right here?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And when they start just shaving time, their excitement rubs off on you.
Yes.
It feels like the first time again.
Dude,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
When Daly was coaching me on that Supra, and I was in top 4 or 5 after I was riding, and he was in the past. I'm like,
Nice.
holy crap, man! I
Makes
mean,
a
and
difference.
then that adrenaline rush that maybe you lost a little bit of comes back because now you're like in contention.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
once you get into a comfort zone, you're like, if I'm in the top half, I'm happy. You know, I had a fun day.
Yeah.
But if you can be in contention, it's just like my recent election. I didn't win it. I didn't care. I said I won either way.
Sure.
But you always want to win, right?
Oh, yeah.
No matter what you say, you still want to be
Oh, yeah.
on the top side. So
let's talk about your season. I know that you said you got out of it for a little bit, or you were finishing up school, but you've been
Yeah.
active in.
Yeah, I've hit it hardcore now. This year, I think I spent 24 weekends autocrossing.
wow.
That's a commitment.
It
That's
was. I went
City,
through
Chicago?
so many tires. I didn't do Chicago at all this year.
Okay.
I will next year because there's going to be a big event up there. That's all I can say about
So
that.
there,
right now.
there was word when we talked to Dean maybe last year on the show that Chicago was basically going to start moving into Rantoul because they lost places to race up there. Or
No, I mean Chicago. I think they have more sites than we do because they have the option of like Sears Center and Milwaukee. They did lose Milwaukee, I think. Actually.
Yeah, Miller Park.
Yeah,
They pulled, I think.
they did. But Rantoul, we're going to be losing Ramp 2 eventually. I mean,
Yeah.
this year, every event that we did, we would call them a week ahead of time and say, "Hey, can we use the concrete?"
Wow.
Because there's a company that makes
Yeah.
pipes there now,
Yeah.
and they're going to be using it to store the pipes. They are selling pipes as fast as they're making it. That's why they haven't taken it yet. So, I mean, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will be losing that site eventually. But yeah, we have some of the best concrete in the country. People come to the Rantoul events before Nationals just to practice because Nationals is on really fuzzy concrete, just like what we have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you had you campaigned the ZX2 this year.
Yeah, the ZX2. I rented a couple of cars. Like when I say rent, I just somebody's like, "Hey, I want you to drive my car." So like a couple of times in Rantoul, I drove a 2016 Porsche 911 GT3 RS.
It's just like a ZX2.
Oh yeah, I know.
yeah.
Right?
Hey,
Just
hey,
bigger.
drive my $100,000 car.
Right. Well, yeah, I think sticker on
Because you've
those
been driving
was
this
$190.
$2,000 beater, so you're
Yeah.
qualified.
The car literally costs more than my house is worth. Like,
Wow.
Yeah. And then the next day I drove an Evora. So
How
which
was that?
Oh my god, I liked it even more than the Porsche. It was so well balanced.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, it was
Did you-
fantastic.
did it feel faster?
It just felt great. Joe Pfister, he actually came out and he rode in the car. He comes from like a go-karting background.
Yeah.
He came out and rode with me for one lap, and we come back, and you could tell he hadn't taken a breath. He just goes, and he says, "Holy,
Yeah.
He's all lightheaded.
He's like, I haven't felt G-forces like that outside of karting. It's
Yeah.
like,
That's fun.
Is that all? Is it a carbon fiber car?
No, I think it's fiberglass.
Fiberglass. Okay. Yeah, interesting. I've been reading up on those. I have a couple friends that are obsessed
It's
with.
got a Toyota Camry V6 in the back.
Yep.
It's like is it 3.5?
Yeah, no, it'd be a 3-liter, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 3-liter, I
Yeah.
think.
3 liter.
Yeah.
It just screams.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, they're a good engine. They're a solid power plant, but they weren't known for excessive horsepower. But they could be
Right.
tuned just like all Toyota motors. They're strong enough to be tuned and manipulated.
Right. They're a little over-engineered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the other Lotus that runs a?
They
Elise.
use a Corolla engine in the Elise. It's like 1.8 liter.
I thought it was a Celica engine, the 1.8, the ZZ.
well, it was the 1.8 was the same thing in a Corolla.
Oh, okay.
And the Matrix XR had the
Okay.
same engine. Yeah, the
I
MR2.
forgot about the main.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
that was a fun little car.
It was.
You
That
could
was
get a
always one of those
6-speed.
ones that I was like, if I get my hands on one of those, but
Yeah.
I don't know that you could get a 6-speed. You couldn't get the all-wheel drive with the 6-speed because Toyota is always they will not do a manual all-wheel drive in some of those older cars.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
in the 90s, they stopped doing it after the GTS Celica, and that was it.
Yeah, that shared. Speaking of joint ventures with Japanese automakers, that
Yeah.
Pontiac Vibe I liked. It was the
Oh,
same
yeah.
thing.
The Toyota Matrix.
No,
Yeah.
the Vibe had
Yeah.
a much better nose. I mean, it looked
Yeah.
like, but then you'd get inside, and the seat, the interior fabric, the door
Cheap.
handles. You're like, really, you guys chinsed on this stuff? Why couldn't you? Why couldn't you? If you're going to work together all the way through, how did you decide to just let the interior go to crap in the Pontiac? Right?
My mother-in-law had a Pontiac Vibe, and it surprised me. The steering wheel was like very small on those, and it just felt sporty.
Yeah.
I was like, this shouldn't
No,
feel this
they're
good.
cool.
Yeah, I shouldn't like this.
I know.
That's good though. That's
That
good.
crappy Delco radio too. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So at any rate, though, you've been involved, and it seems like you were saying 24 weekends.
24 weekends.
That's So we talked with Dean prior to this, a couple, what was it, last year?
Yeah.
Wow, a while ago. It's a time commitment, right? It's a hobby, it's an interest, it's a passion.
Yeah.
But then
you're hours away from home. What are you doing?
So I actually live near St. Louis, so I'm like 2.5 hours from Rantoul, 2 hours from Pekin. We do have autocross in St. Louis. We've got a pretty healthy club down there. We're getting like 140 people per event, but we only run one day a weekend. We don't do the double headers like Rantoul does.
Okay.
And the sites, we have 2 sites down there, and they're pretty good. They're not concrete, and they're not completely level, so there's some elevation and some washboarding of one of the lots, but really good club.
Not bad. Yeah.
I've been pretty involved with them, and I'm on the board with Rantoul as well. So, yeah, as far as like time sink, it's beyond just the weekends.
It's nights and
oh yeah. So when I go to St. Louis, I help with equipment setup. So I get there at like 5 in the morning. And I have a trailer that I have to unload my car and swap the wheels and get it ready and everything too.
Did you sleep in your trailer?
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah,
okay.
I went to Spring Nationals this year in Lincoln, Nebraska, and Eric Wright and I camped in the trailer, and it was wonderful. Actually, he set up a hammock from like the back door to the tire. I have tire racks that fold down on the sides, and I had a cot, and it was awesome.
It worked.
Yeah, the only thing we needed was to go to a friend's hotel room to shower, but
not bad.
Yeah,
there's something to that.
So previously, I mean, you did 24 events, and we're going to get to nationals. That's one of the main reasons we got you on.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about anything else with you but that. But did you do that many events this year to get to nationals?
No, so anybody can go to nationals.
I get that.
You used to kind of have to qualify, but
I get that. But how many on a normal year before last year? What would you do that many events?
The year before, I maybe did it like 19 or 20.
So you're going strong.
I'm going hardcore. So like I graduated college. I kind of went non-traditional. I went to college, wasn't for me. Went to the military, got out, decided college probably is for me because I want what I wanted to do for a living. I had to go. So I put autocross on the bench from like 2011 till 2017.
Okay.
So when I was only doing like 2 or 3 events a year, I would try to always make the Mossville ones here in Peoria because it's my favorite club. And yeah, so when I got out, I was like, man, I'm gonna go hard. I'm going for all of it. So I tried to get as much seat time as I could the last 2 years, and really with the Escort this year is about proving the car out. So I treated local events like test and tunes.
Okay.
So I was making changes to the car. I was trying to dial in my driving with, going from a rear wheel drive to a front wheel drive again. And then I broke so many parts this year that I'm really glad I was able to break it and fix it and, find the weak links and upgrade some things before I was at the big show, at the national events.
Have you done nationals before this year?
Yeah, I went last year in the Fiat. It was my first year at nationals.
Okay. Oh, I think I remember that too. Yeah.
So I was always wanting to be good enough for nationals, and I always wanted a car prepared enough for nationals. So I never went. And I really should have all this time. Even if you are a terrible driver, it is like it's a party like none other. It is an experience. So, yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Pretty intense, I imagine.
Yeah, but I'm just newly a national level driver. So
congrats. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Especially after, all the years of being involved. And realistically, it takes time. It takes an investment. It takes some money.
Yeah.
But you're not out there competing in a 911 turbo or something like that. You kind of came, and I would say humble beginnings, but you built your own stuff.
Right.
You built it over time, refined it, and
you didn't buy it.
Yeah.
It's built.
Yeah, I'm saying you didn't like buy it. Buy it or build it. That's always
it's the big thing. Yeah.
People always want to critique you.
Built, not bought.
Yeah. But it sounds like you built it.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that. So the nationals thing, obviously, if you did it with the Fiata last year, and then you worked your way up with the ZX2. The whole year, are you thinking, I'm going to win a class, or you just wanted to get to nationals just to have fun?
I just wanted to get there. I was supposed to go in 2010 or 2011. A friend of mine, Alan Cesar, he was editor at Grassroots Motorsports Magazine at the time. He wanted to take my car, do an article on it, just because we both started with Ford ZX2s. And, come to find out, a lot of people actually, even Chuck Matthews, he's a local hot shoe around here who competes nationally. He had a ZX2 when he started.
The ZX2 web.
Yeah. There was a guy, Adam Love. He lives in Oregon now, but he used to autocross at Rantoul. He ended up getting a seat in the TDI Volkswagen Cup back when that was a thing, like 10 years ago. He started with ZX2s. Like, it's just kind of a common denominator. It's a fun car that gets you hooked on that stuff.
That's funny. So now, when I initially set up for the Super, and the other reason I want to talk about those because I wanted to be at Nationals this year, and so Toyota actually sent me a sticker pack saying, "All right, we want you to represent in the Toyota blah blah." Right. And I got this cool sticker pack. Does Ford do something similar? No. They didn't send you like, "Hey, we want you to represent for Ford."
No. When you talk about car companies that want you to be there, it's Mazda.
Really?
Mazda has what's called a contingency. So you put Mazda stickers on the side of your Mazda, and if you win a trophy, you get Mazda money.
Wow.
So I actually co-drove Jerry Tang's 30th anniversary orange ND2 Miata up at Chicago Tour last year.
That's cool.
I qualified for Mazda money, but I didn't think I would, so I didn't sign up for the contingency. I lost out on $100.
I signed up for the contingency with Toyota because we thought we'd be there, and I got some cool stickers out of it. But when I sent them the pictures of the car, they're like, "Oh, you don't even have to sticker that. Everybody knows that's a Toyota."
It's clear.
Yeah. And if you get good enough, like Tom O'Gorman, he races pro now. Acura was like, "Hey, why don't you take this NSX to Nationals?" And he took it last year and he won, and it was all stickered up. And
nice.
Acura they're like, "Here, show this off for us," and he did.
So it does make, I don't know, makes me happy that some manufacturers still back that.
Oh yeah,
at that level.
That's interesting.
Ford not so much. Ford's all about like the Mustang and drag racing. Is like when you go to Ford Fest. I actually lent my car out to somebody who took it to Ford Fest this year, and it's all drag racing and power and
Sure. Yeah, I know they used to do like that World Ford Challenge down at Gateway.
Yep.
And I remember that was just a sea of Ford racing, everything. But it was all Mustangs and.
Well, our main driver at the dealership, Dustin Harper, he would do all those Gateway events, and he'd just blow bushings out of his control arms and just smoke tires. I mean, that's all they would do down there.
Yeah,
that's a whole different. I mean, you're working with horsepower and just have fun with horsepower. It's a different type of racing.
Ford doesn't care about some guy campaigning a 20-year-old Ford Escort
I know
nationally or anything.
That's why I wondered if they had a contingency like that.
No, I'm not on their radar at all. So.
Should be. That's a good testament.
Yeah, but there's enough people, there's enough following where that. Like Alan, he wanted to take my car to Nationals. So ever since 2010, I've wanted to go with this car. And through, heartbreak of, the car being totaled and this and that back and forth. I'm on the third chassis on that car now. It was like a dream come true to actually just go this year. So I had a national trophy winning driver, Justin Barbary, co-drive my car because I wanted him to tell me, first of all, I wanted to benchmark. How good am I with the same car, right? And I wanted him to tell me what the car needs. So we were able to, figure out we need better damping, which I'll be taking care of over the winter. I need a little bit more power, which we can squeeze out of it. I know exactly how. And I actually know a guy in St. Louis with hub dynos. He lets us use them for free.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
He's an old spec Miata guy. Like, awesome connection to have.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it was just a labor of love, and I wanted to be there. Turns out my car was the first Ford to ever trophy an F Street Prepared at a national event.
Ever.
So Justin Barbary drove to, I think, 5th place out of 18 or 19 in class and got a trophy with my car. And I was just out. I was like 10th place. I was mid-pack. But for me to be just mid-pack coming out with this car, it surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if I get better and the car gets a little better, we could be there.
It's good to get some notoriety too.
Yeah.
You get people calling you and being like, "Hey, we're writing an article on stuff from Grassroots Motorsports." That's cool to get published too.
Let's back up 2 steps. People aren't familiar with Nationals.
Yeah.
Where's it held at?
So Nationals is at Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay.
It's been out there for over a decade, maybe a decade and a half.
Does it run like a whole week or?
It is a week long.
Okay.
So with SCCA Autocross, we have something called Pro Solo, which is mirrored courses with a Christmas tree, like drag style start.
Okay.
So you go out and you race one side, and then you get back in line and do the other side, and you're against somebody. You can red light. That's like the first 2 days of Nationals.
Okay.
But only about maybe a quarter of the field actually qualifies and gets in to do that. It's, pretty select. I went out there to help a couple of people. that were in the Pro Solo finale. So I went out there for like the entire week. And there were about 5 of us, I think, from St. Louis and Champaign that all chipped in on an Airbnb. So we just made like a whole week out of it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, competition, like you have, it's always Memorial Day week. So competition is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You're in one of those groups. I raced Thursday, Friday this year. Last year I was in like Tuesday, Wednesday. And honestly, I kind of liked racing Thursday, Friday, but by the end of it, you're just like, oh yeah, now it's time to do that thing I came out here to do. Like you feel like you've spent an eternity out there helping other people and fixing cars in the paddock and partying, and and then it's time to do it.
Then it's
how many cars are we talking about there?
This year, over 1,100.
Wow.
Well, 1,100 drivers.
That's huge.
Yeah. They've gotten, before COVID, they got up to like 1,300 and something. Yeah. So it is the largest amateur racing event in the world.
And why Lincoln, Nebraska, of all places? Because it's central in the U.S.?
Yep, it's central. Okay. So people from California and Florida and all that. And it's 160 acres of pristine concrete.
What was it, an Air Force base?
It's an Air Force base, yeah. Okay. So have you ever heard of the Doomsday plane?
Yes.
So there's, 4 of them? 4 of those chassis?
Yeah.
Airframes?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, my gosh. So these planes, they can control the entire country, the entire government and military from the air. They can fly...
Like a giant AWAC or something? Or?
Oh, they're enormous. Okay. It was like a...
I can't remember the name, but what plane it is.
Yeah.
It's
a Boeing.
It's a Boeing of some sort. I'm going to Google this.
Oh, yeah, do it. Okay. So they have antennas and all these things sticking out of them. They're enormous. One or more of those live at that Air Force base at any given time. So we got to see it take off. And it's just...
Boeing A4.
A4, yeah. So it's so enormous that it looks like it's going to fall out of the sky. But it's really cool to see them there. That's where they're stationed. Well, one of them, like when 9/11 happened and stuff like that, all of these things, all 4 of them get in the air.
Yeah, it's basically like a 747 on steroids.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And they make an E6 that's like the Mercury that's got the weather, like the big radar. Yep. I've seen some of those flying around out of the Air Force Base here in town.
No.
And my uncle, who was a retired pilot, I'd snap a picture and be like, what is this?
Oh, yeah.
Do I need to go in the basement?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, it's the Doomsday plane.
That's the Doomsday plane.
That's cool.
So
but that's where they're based?
That's where one of them, I think the last year when I went to Nationals, there was 2 of them there. And I think there's one there all the time.
Okay.
Unless it's flying, And it can fly as long as it can be refueled in the air.
That's
so
awesome.
It's
get air-to-air refueling and
really
keep
cool.
going.
Yeah.
So you're taking a week off, and you did 20-some weekends.
Yeah.
And you're married.
Yeah.
How does that work out?
My wife likes to get me out of the house because, she needs to recover. I'm high intensity, I guess. So she knows that, like, I waited long enough to do it.
Yeah.
And she supports it. So she's not into cars at all. She won't even ride in the car at autocross or anything. So
is it like a fear thing?
No, she's just not into cars at all.
Okay.
And she doesn't like going fast. She grew up on a little island in Alaska with like 13 miles of road. So like she never went above like 45 miles an hour before she met me.
Yeah.
So
a little different place to grow up.
Right.
Well, I mean, you have a son though who is into cars as well.
Yeah. So he when you're 12 years old, or what is it, like 57 inches tall or something with SCCA, you can ride in the cars. So for his 12th birthday, he came out and he rode in 30 different cars and ran to it.
Wow. No kidding.
Yeah. So
was that part of your fiendish plan to be like, I'm going to get my son interested in this hobby?
No, I asked him, I said, do you want to do this? And he's like, yeah, I want to go out.
It's cool when the kids gravitate by themselves because one of my kids did, the other didn't, Yeah.
I tried to get him into autocross when he was 5. Back, a few years ago and before, you could race go-karts with the SCCA at certain sites. No chain link fencing or anything. Like if the car goes out of control, you don't want...
It just spins out and nobody gets hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I bought him a cart and took him out there and he got all ready and we get him to the start line and he's like, I don't want to do it. And I didn't want to be that, like, the baseball dad that's like, no, you're going to do it because I wanted to do it. And,
doggone it, get out there.
I'm going to live vicariously through you because my youth sucked.
Exactly. I knew he wasn't the next Ayrton Senna or anything. So, I was like, okay. Gave him a couple more chances, sold the cart. But then he kind of came back to it. He's like, he probably saw me working on the car and having fun and everything.
Yeah.
So he got super into it and he would come to the events and ride. And then on his 15th birthday, he was able to race, to drive.
Nice.
And
on a permit, it's awesome. They let him do
same
that.
rules as the road.
Yeah.
So we build our courses to where the top speed is the posted interstate speed.
Okay.
Locally. So like we can go up to like 65, 70 miles an hour on our courses. And that's supposed to be with like, a stock car, so like a Corvette or something. So I mean, sometimes you get an open wheel car that might hit like 75, 80 or whatever. But we try to keep the speeds low enough to where like we can keep our insurance. That's really the name of the game.
Sure.
We want to keep sights and we want to keep insurance. Otherwise, we can't do what we like to do.
Yeah.
So he went out for his 15th birthday, and just the same rules as the road. He had to have somebody in the car with him. So I had to sit shotgun with him every run.
That's cool.
And it was right after the yellow Escort had died. So he got to learn how to autocross with a Fiat Spider. So.
I could think of worse vehicles to practice on.
Yeah.
And so because I know how it is with kids.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting there beside him and your kid's racing, did he want you talking, or did he want you just to critique?
No,
after
he
the
liked it when I yelled at him like "break now,"
Okay.
or "hug it tight." I would yell out commands, and he liked it. I would like to say that on his first day, he was only like 3 seconds behind me on a 60th second course, which was
Are you serious?
huge. Yeah,
that is huge.
that was really, really good.
Because sometimes you'll see like kids really, really cautious out there, and God bless them. You got to build some confidence. But the fact that your kid was ready to throw it down,
right?
Yeah.
Does that also make you think like, well, my reaction time has gotten so bad?
Well, I mean, I was like in the top 5 of the day, so I was like, well, I know it's not that. Like, he was. I think he was like top 20 his first event ever.
That's
for him.
So yeah.
So he's older though now, right?
He's 18 now. He just turned 18.
Got his own car.
He's got a rusty old Ford Escort.
Is that the only car he has?
That's the only car he has. So he still drives mine. So next year I told him he's got to step it up though, because I run Hoosier racing slicks. I got 47 runs out of the last set before they corded. It's like, you think about it, like 47 miles on a set of 2 tires is $800. I don't go through
runs
back tires,
or race days.
Runs, laps.
Wow.
So literally, if you do a double weekend, you're talking like 2 or maybe 3 weekends, and you need new tires.
Wow.
Yeah. So
what's your tire budget there, Eric? Is it less than that?
I won't answer that question since I haven't had to buy any tires in a while. So, yeah.
So I told him, I said,
I'm sponsored.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
There you go. So I told him, I said, you want to do this, you got to pay for half the tires. So, and the nice thing is, like, if he does get into the national events like me, if you have enough people in your class and you get those contingencies, like I was talking about, you can win free tires. So
that's
huge too.
Yeah.
So a set of Hoosiers, because I've never priced them because I don't have to.
Yeah.
Decent price? Are they exorbitant?
They're like $380 a piece.
Okay, so that's pretty pricey.
I run a really weird staggered setup on my car too. I run 275 35 R15s on the front.
Yeah,
those are about $380 a piece, and then I run a 205 50 or something R15 in the back.
It's a fun look when you see the car.
Yeah, the front wheels are like steamrollers.
Yeah, stick out a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like reverse skinny and slicks. Like it's weird looking.
Well, it's like I remember the Honda drag cars. It would have just fat slicks on the front, and these little
street legal tires on the back. Yeah.
Like what's the and then you see it launch. You're like, that's why.
Yep,
that's why.
Yep. So I did have to replace a set of rear tires this year, but that was an alignment issue, and I ran them as front tires for a couple of events. I really shouldn't have to replace rear tires maybe every like 3 or 4 years. They'll probably age up before they wear out. But the front tires, like I said, 47 runs.
Yeah. So if you're splitting that with Junior, you're like, hey,
if you run at Rantoul, you might get 12 runs in a day per person.
Yeah.
That's half a set of tires per day.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's harsh.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of scale back on autocross this next year, budget-wise. And then, I'll probably just run the Hoosiers at big events, and I'll just dial the car in on street tires as much as I can.
So let's say, hypothetically, Fiat sells, you've got some room.
Yeah.
I know you said you're downsizing.
Yeah.
You got the itch to do another build or try something else or build another ZX2 that you find with a rust-free chassis from Arizona or something like that?
No. So after doing 3 years in a stock class car, it was really nice just replacing tires and brake pads. Like that was
normal stuff.
Really, and driving there on your tires and back,
Yeah.
and like things like a radio, cruise control, AC,
Air
like
conditioning.
Yeah, that was really nice. So I think if the Escort ever dies again, I mean, I've brought this thing back from the ashes 3 times now. If the Escort ever dies again, I'll probably just go to a stock class car.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe pick up a used Corvette or even like an E Street Miata.
Yeah.
Just like. Yeah.
They're out there.
Yeah.
It's fun to see how people kind of graduate, over time. And like when we interviewed Dean, I think he started with like a 370 or maybe it was an Infinity.
It was the Infinity.
Yeah, that's right.
The G37.
Right.
Yeah.
G30, and it's just like, I did that for a few years and kind of maxed out, and then went to the Corvettes, and now I'm on my second or third Corvette. Like, it's fun to see the progression. And it's not necessarily about power. It's always just, do you get influenced by what other people bring on race day too, and kind of see what responds to what mod's better?
Yeah. I mean, everything's going to be course dependent. Like my little Spider was course dependent locally. Sometimes I would tromp the Miatas, and sometimes they'd tromp me depending on where you needed the power. But when you look at like best value for like being able to daily drive something, being able to return something to stock and sell it, and being fast. A few of us that are kind of on a group chat, we've been talking about STR Miata. So it's street touring roadster. Okay. So street tires. It's just coilovers and a few little bolt-on things. If you don't like it, you can sell the car and return it to stock in that. But like, man, is it like the easy button for autocross right now? It sticks to the ground. It's comfortable to drive.
Price-wise, what are we talking? Used? Do you get a couple-year-old one?
25, 30.
That's approachable for most people, I would think.
And you're really not throwing more than a couple grand of stuff,
well, the car's still drivable, like I said. You can still use it as a summertime roadster.
Exactly.
So,
take the lady friends out to dinner or whatever. Or, the other thing, too, there's always going to be a secondary market.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody always is going to buy a Miata.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter.
I think there was a time where you could kind of steal those cars, but that is gone.
Oh, yeah. It's the Miata tax. Yeah. Rusted out ratty ones are going for like $6,000 or $7,000 now.
Crazy.
It is crazy.
Why? What happened there?
Because there's nothing else like it.
There's nothing else like it.
The car's unique. No other manufacturer has a little coupe like that anymore.
Right. Yeah. Well, and even the ones that did, they were kind of too expensive, like the Z3s and Z4s and BMWs.
Well, I still think the nature of owning a German little car like that is too expensive. A Japanese car like that just seems far cheaper in the long run.
Well, the Miata was a Japanese-built British roadster, so it was basically a British roadster that ran.
It's your dream, right?
Exactly. You've got the reliability of the Japanese car, and then you've got the British roadster element still there. So,
I did like the S2000s when those were out.
Oh yeah, those hold their value too.
Yes, they do.
Oh,
I looked at
going
one
for like
that's
$30,000.
That's rarity. That comes down to rarity.
It does.
You want a Honda and you want that, but. Guess what? That's the only way you're finding that car.
Yeah.
There was one that was on I think it was Peoria Toyota had one over the summer.
We had one 2 or 3 years ago.
9K. I'm like, what's wrong with it? And of course I went and looked at it and it's like, everything's wrong with
Right.
it. It's been, body-wise wasn't banged up too much, but it had a lot of miles. The top was shot, had been duct taped. And, it's just all that stuff that you look at that and you're like, why would you, if you had a car like that, why would you let it fall into that bad a disrepair?
Right.
But
because they still got decent money out of it, even ragged out.
Probably. But yeah, every once in a while I'll see one of those pop up. I'm like, okay, the Miatas are cool, but those for some reason screaming at 80, 200 RPM on a course just sound phenomenal.
Right.
But I also probably couldn't fit in it, so what the heck was I looking at it for?
So back to National, sorry.
Yeah.
Because I'm interested because I didn't go because I want to go.
Yeah.
Is there a maximum? I mean, so did you have to get your petition in or your registration in because you might have got bounced out?
I signed up like the hour it opened.
Okay.
Because the sooner you sign up, the better chance of getting the number you want. Okay. So every class has 1 through 99, right? So a lot of people like to run like toward the end of the class. All the classes run at the same time. Like FSP is like the class my car's in. All of FSP runs at the same time.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people choose like 99 so that they're the last ones to go. That way they know
seriously?
They know what time they have to be, like they can and they can kind of watch other people from the sidelines and see what lines they're taking.
I was going to say then you can watch all the tracks on
Yeah. So
on the pavement.
Clever.
Yeah. But it's competitive, I guess, to get into that. But if there ever is a cap, you want to get in early. Okay. So I would say you have a couple of weeks to sign up, and then the price goes up, and then
So what does it cost to do the week? What do you have to spend?
I think it was like $190 or something like that.
That's a steal.
That's not bad. Yeah, that's not that bad.
And then hotels available? Or are people camping out?
Oh yeah, both. Yeah.
Really?
People rent RVs. People camp in tents. People get hotels. We got an Airbnb. It was a good time. There's a lot to do in Lincoln as well. Like a lot of good places to eat. Little things to do in that. There's like a transportation museum there or something too. But the party is on site. So every region is kind of paddocked together, and the paddock is huge. It's like 30 35 rows or something. And you figure each row is the length of like a trailer, like, 30 feet or something, right? So everybody has like their regions that they're with, and they all kind of park the trailers to have like a courtyard.
Cool.
Some regions have like Foursquare competitions where they set up lights in tent cities and stuff. Some people smoke. Well, I'm talking about Atlanta mostly here. They have Foursquare. They have smoked meats. They had a beer share. They had kiddie pools. I've actually got a picture of my truck with the bed full of ice. I bought, I forget. It was like $100 and something worth of ice at the local grocery store. They looked at me like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
So we filled these kiddie pools with ice, and everybody from across the country just brings their beer, sticks it in the pool, and takes whatever they want to try it with them.
That's awesome.
We had like a craft beer share on the side. I was pouring out big boys stouts and stuff.
So we're racing basically like we do here locally, 10 a.m. in the morning or 9 a.m. we start racing.
Yeah, it goes earlier than that. So because it's a big national event and everybody who's going there is experienced autocrosser, you don't really have much of a driver's meeting.
Okay, good.
You walk the course like whenever you can. I recommend walking it the night before you drive it near sundown because it's not a sweltering hot out. You can grab a beer and go walk the course. Mm-hmm. They have the courses open like whenever there's not competition. Competition runs basically sun up to sundown almost. So they actually had like some delays, some timing or weather delays a few years ago to where there were cars that didn't have headlights on them that were running almost after dark.
Oh, geez. Because
the event went a little long. They fit a lot of people in there. I forget how many runs were done each day on each course. But basically the place is huge enough that there's 2 courses. So like I said earlier, I ran like Thursday, Friday. I ran the West course on Thursday and then the East course on Friday. So there's racing going on at all times, and you can kind of pick which one you want to go watch and help your friends in the grid and things like that. And these courses are enormous. I think one of them was like 81 seconds. The East course this year.
It's a good size.
It's one of the longest autocross courses I've ever done. You almost were tired of the course by the time you got to the finish line.
Yeah.
You're just like, is this ever going to end?
I felt that at Champaign before. You're just like, oh my God, get that last turn so I can just, get out of this thing.
Get done.
There's a lot to be said about a fun 45-second course opposed to like just trying to add time to the clock,
So my question, logistics-wise, there's a lot to set up and do.
It's a lot.
Do you guys then go work it like any other local event?
Yeah.
But who's kind of running at that level? I would think does the SCCA have like paid full-time staff folks?
They have
who run
staff.
It? Okay.
They have their own equipment, like their trailers, the timing trailers, and everything.
Yeah.
They have a huge like a setup. I don't know. They've got chiefs for every little thing. They got chiefs for the paddock, chiefs for the grid, chiefs for the safety. Every little aspect of that. Basically, as a normal competitor, like if you've been around long enough, you can be asked to be a chief. But as just like a normal competitor, you're working the course.
Okay.
They measure sound of the cars out there.
Wow.
So that was like kind of what I did this year is I measured the sound of every
I saw
car.
your little thing here. It said sound. I thought maybe you were doing the announcing or something.
No. Yeah, we have announcers. We course captains.
Measure the sound
everything.
For just to take note of, or so you
there's a decibel limit. So every site you go to, there's usually a decibel limit for that municipality.
Man, that'd be disappointing.
Sound pollution?
Yeah. So
interesting.
It's the whole NIMBY thing, right? Like nobody wants to hear race cars when they're barbecuing on their back porch or something. Otherwise they're going to get complaints and then you can't do it there any longer.
Yeah.
So the SCCA is actually the one that sets the sound limits at nationals. Because it's an Air Force base. There's going to be things louder than us out there.
I was going to say you got
there's airplanes,
an A-10 queuing up on a runway.
In fact, we are so close to the action of the airport that the paddock has a big lane going through it. That if you're going to be in that lane, you better go through it and not stop in the middle. There are airport security that will come and get you if you dawdle too long, because there are planes coming right off the runway.
Just like our airports in Pekin, it's a live airport, so you have to be ready. Yeah,
it is.
Okay.
But now just imagine commercial jet planes coming through
the
paddock instead of puddle jumpers.
Doomsday plane.
In the Red Baron biplane.
Yeah.
Going up for a pizza tour.
It's a wild experience, and the whole place is just enormous. But it takes a lot of people to organize that and make it happen. But for those of us like me, you just arrive and drive, and you work an assignment that they give you.
Not bad. For 4 days, 5 days, however long you're out there.
Right.
that's not that bad of a trade-off at all.
So sometimes when I go to the events, I feel like there wasn't enough time to watch everybody else.
Yeah.
Do you walk away from it feeling like you just didn't get enough out of it? Or?
No. So like at a national, this is not just nationals, but even at a tour event, there's a lot of downtime.
Is there?
Because there's so many people organizing the event for you. And, everybody knows what they're doing.
I guess that's part of it, too, because I'm usually part of the crew that's running the thing. So I feel like I'm frantic the whole day.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, when you go to nationals, there's a lot of time to, like I said, help your friends with, scraping rubber off of their tires that they have picked up, seam sealer and stuff, and, helping them adjust tire pressures between runs. Or, like, they set up grandstands by the timing, equipment. And you can just go out there and watch all day long. Just watch these people. Or you can go hang out in the paddock because there's paddock parties. There's dinners that they provide almost every single night. Like banquets and things. Like Mazda held a banquet.
Wow, sounds great.
For all Mazda drivers. Didn't even check if you're a Mazda driver, so I got a Mazda T-shirt.
Technically.
I own two Mazdas that aren't really Mazdas.
Yeah, that's when somebody gets trapped in a conversation with Tim. They're like, I talked to this guy with a Ford, and he wouldn't let me start talking Mazdas.
Yeah.
Put him on the list for next year. We're going to have security escorting away from the food trailer.
There's a lot of Mazda on that Escort.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just such a good time. There's so many things to do. So many like friends that you haven't seen in forever. Like I got to hang out with Dave Nolan, who moved away. I got to hang out with all these people, and just the camaraderie when you're out there. You're with 1,100 other car nerds.
Yeah.
Even if you're not there to race, like there's classic car shows that roll through. There's a test and tune course that's running basically at all times. There's always something to see, always something to do, and you're always going to meet new friends. So,
now, unlike the regular race day, aren't you? There's like a finite number of races, right? Or so, Jason was telling me you don't
runs.
You don't get as many runs. So what do you get?
You get 3 each day.
Yeah, that's
so
it.
you get 3 runs on the West Course and 3 runs on the East Course. That's it,
man.
And if a rainstorm comes through right before you, and like it doesn't matter. You got to get it all out right then and there.
Man,
there's a lot of
pressure,
variables.
No pressure.
Yeah. So
something with the car, something with the weather, something with you.
Yeah. So Central Illinois and Rantoul, they've been running a pro class. To where like your first, I don't think CIR does this rule, but a lot of other ones do. Your first 3 runs of the day are what count toward pro class. And it's to get into that mentality of you got to get it done in 3.
Yeah, you can't be waiting till the 8th run of the day to finally get it dialed in.
Right.
Yeah.
So Dan Marks out of Springfield, another multi-time national trophy winner, he told me, he said, your first run is exploratory. Find out what works. Your second run counts. Your third run, try something new. But the way I drive,
so you're trying to stick it on 2.
Yeah, the way I drive, I was carrying cones all the way through, run 2. So it's like the third run better be clean. So I actually had to dial it way back on my third run, both courses this year, just to have a clean run and have one that counts. So it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
How'd you end up doing?
I 10th out of 19 in FSP. Overall in PAX, I don't even remember, but I think I was like near the top 3rd, which I was very happy with.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's definitely an accomplishment, and Eric will be out there next year.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
We'll see. I got a lot of stuff. I'm bottling up a lot of stuff to do next year. I don't know if I can accomplish it all. I got all these Land Cruiser events. I got autocross to get back into.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be a busy summer next year.
Just do it. Just do it all. Literally everything.
Well, I did post a quote the other day. Twain said it. You'll regret things you didn't do 20 years from now than the stuff you didn't do. I don't know, whatever it was. But it was profound in some ways. Like, just do it.
I tell you, you'll come back with so much to talk about for the podcast, too.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to do it I would have even done, because they want writers. They want photographers.
Yes.
So
PR is one of the working assignments
and
you
I would
can do.
And to me, I mean, before Daly and I had talked about racing, I was like, I would go just literally to be a fly on the wall and take tons of pictures and write.
Oh, yeah.
And just follow a driver and write about it. Yes. I think that'd be a blast.
Well, and it would take some of the onus off some of the other folks that are there who would appreciate that. It's good to get the coverage. It's also good to, I don't know, is it like a different type of adrenaline boost when someone is like riding with you? Or
see, and I think you'd be excellent at that too, because I think you have a whole different vision when you look at stuff. And when you write, I love when Daryl writes. He doesn't write enough.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a hot
It's
minute.
fun. When he had his Throwin Wrenches blog, he's got some great stuff. And like I said, your perspective, I don't think you share it enough sometimes.
Yeah, they're always looking for people to do that, to do write-ups and stuff. Now, you said, is it, fun when you're riding with somebody.
When someone rides with you.
Yeah. There's no passengers at Nationals.
So they won't let you?
They won't let you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unless you're a 15-year-old and you have a permit and you need them to.
Right.
So like this year, I think
that would be the only way.
Yeah, Olivia Hammock. She's new to the Central Illinois region. She just moved here from Florida. She was the last, I think it's Formula Junior Karting B champion. And now she's 15, so now she's campaigning her dad's Corvette C8 Corvette, like
nice.
as a 15-year-old. But she has to have her dad in the car with her every time she races. And she gets it, like she's just on it. Yeah, everybody was just kind of, holy cow, she's not just putzing around.
What fun!
Oh, I know.
You mentioned earlier Joe Feaster. His daughter was a kart.
Yeah, Cammie.
Racer, right?
Yeah, she races karts.
She's still
okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where she kind of was aging out.
Yeah, he kind of like sold his Miata and got out of autocross. He's still involved with the club.
He was asking nothing for it, like $2,000, something like that. Should have bought it.
He's still involved with the club, but he's focusing on Cammie's karting, and I think she's still got quite a number of years left in that.
Okay.
So I think you can do that until you're 18.
She's getting quick.
There's
too.
adult karting and stuff too, but
she's on. I think when he was on the show, he gave us like some YouTube channel, and he was kind of like supporting her and kind of help fostering that whole.
Oh yeah.
But back then, when a kid is 7 or 8 years old and they're doing this stuff, you're like, oh god, whatever. Every parent says their kid's the most creative, the fastest, the best, or whatever. And you're like, all right, well, we'll see what happens. But now, as I've watched stuff lately, kid gets it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's all adding up now, so it's pretty cool to watch.
She'll be in a Corvette soon.
Yeah, right.
Nationals,
and then Dad will have to just sacrifice and get a new car, right?
Right.
Honey, it's for the children.
Yeah,
just think of the children.
So, what do you think? Did we shake everything out of Nationals? Is there anything else we missed on this?
I don't know, man. Like, it's just such a fun time. Oh, you know what? Like, there was a pretty good story I kind of wanted to share out of Nationals. This is just to tell you, like, the camaraderie and the group of people that's out there. Like I said, 1,100 like-minded people nerding out about cars. So there's this guy, Jay Bullington. He owns a company called JXB Racing. And they make things like drive shaft carrier bearing things. Like he makes performance parts. He's out of Wisconsin. He had this car. I don't know if you guys have heard of King of the Mountain. King of the Mountain is an autocross in, I think, Pennsylvania.
Is it a hill climb?
No, it happens once a year, though. And it's at not a dirt track. It's an asphalt oval thing, but there's a road course in the middle of it kind of thing. You have to be invited to go, I believe. And it's like a $15,000 or $25,000 payout if you win King of the Mountain. So Jay Bullington had this Audi S5. And I don't know if you guys saw pictures of it on the internet. It's done up in like a green and kind of like a bluish green and black livery. He had a 6-element wing on the front of this car that went from the ground to the top of the hood. And he had a 6-element 8-foot-tall wing on the back of the car for this King of the Mountain thing.
I'm Googling it right now, seeing if it can come up here.
Yeah, if you look up King of the Mountain 2022 or something. So he had this car. He took the wings off for Nationals. But this car was passed around as like the lifeboat. So at Nationals, if you break your car, you either have to fix it or find somebody else's car to drive. So this car actually happened to fit into like 3 or 4 different autocross classes, depending on what tires were on it. Mm-hmm. So Chuck Matthews and JG Pasterjack from Grassroots Motorsports, he's the guy that does all their YouTube videos. They were driving the car. And then Justin Peachy, he's got a Corvette, that he ran at King of the Mountain as well. He's got all done up in a Hawk livery. His car broke, so he and Hillary Frank drove the car. And then my good buddy Andrei Sedyshenko and his friend Mason McGavick, they were from St. Louis. They were driving my buddy's, driving Andrei's. Oh, yeah, there's the car. They were driving Andrei's Evo.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That thing.
It just looks like a sofa on the front of the car.
Wow.
And that car it's fast. It's really fast.
That's hilarious.
You
it
don't
looks like a sprint car.
Yeah, you don't really go from one corner to another as much as you just teleport there. Oh, there it is in action. Yeah,
it kind of harkens back to the early like Audi S1 Quattros.
Oh, it looks like the Pikes Peak hill climb cars.
Yes, exactly.
Like the Suzuki Escuda and all that.
That's awesome.
They have lights on the wings on the front of there, by the way, on the sides.
Yeah, so we're watching this YouTube channel, JXP Performance on YouTube. Check them out.
Yeah, he's doing the inside road course.
This guy is such an awesome guy, though, because he let all these people use his car. So anyway, like Andre and Mason, they had an Evo 10 that they were running in it's an extreme street class. So street tires, but almost an anything goes. It's like Cam. Like Eric, I know you kind of know
A little
what
bit.
cam is.
Yeah, the Mustang guys, right?
Yeah. So whenever somebody would break their car, he let them use this car, this like insane car. So Andre ended up having a ringland break on cylinder 4 on his Evo. And so they go over and they were just, helping Justin Peachy fix his Corvette. And they were like, you know what? You want to drive this car? This 600 something horsepower monster. And he just give you the keys. So
crazy.
That's
these
cool.
are the kind of awesome people that are out there. They'll not only help you fix your car, they'll be like, you can use mine.
Okay, this is completely unrelated. Just popped into my head. Do you remember that show on Netflix a couple years ago? It was with Rutledge, where they were driving the cars through the weird Hot Wheels track where there was fire and through water and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The national autocross champion or something. That guy showed up with a Corvette and then trashed his car.
Yeah.
Does that story make any sense that guy would show up? Do you know who that guy was?
I don't. Off the top of my head, I don't know who it is. I
remember that.
If I heard a name, I might know him. But, yeah.
It was the early in the series.
It was driver 1 or 2. He shows he's a national autocross champion, but that could be anything, right? If you say you're a national autocross champion.
Okay, so I do remember that guy had won a tour event where it was there was maybe one other person in the class or something.
Okay,
I do remember that. He was this guy who was he was kind of all talk.
Yeah, I feel like he got rope-a-doped into the deal, though. It's hey, it's a race show, and then, by the way, we're going to beat the crap out of your car. Do you think he knew, probably, going into that?
Probably. I mean, he was just looking to make a name for himself, I think. But
he got on a Netflix show.
Yeah, he got on a Netflix show. It's more than I'm doing on my Ford Escort, so he's doing something right.
Is he, though?
Yeah, right.
You still drive yours.
Yeah.
His is in a wall.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we cleaned up everything there. So, again, thanks for coming on. I mean, I won't talk nationals, but it seemed like there's so much serendipity. We could talk for hours. And
we really could.
Maybe someday you'll get the the treasured jacket of multiple guests.
You got to be there, man. You got to be there. You just...
It's on his calendar. I checked.
Yeah. We'll double check. Anyway. So we always talk about projects on our show. And Daryl has done a whole bunch of. I haven't done squat. I don't know what the story is.
It's been cold and it's winter already.
I winterized, put some stuff away, and I haven't done anything in the garage. I'm trying to think. I'm doing a light fixture in my dining room. That's about all I got going on.
That actually, it's coming together real nicely, from what I understand.
I'm living vicariously through some other people, but it seems like I haven't done squat with cars, so I don't really have a whole lot to report on projects. What do you got going on, though?
Me? Not much.
Dude, that's not true because you were playing games in Minnesota with Gabe Casey.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, well, so...
Weird games with logs and nails.
Just to paint that picture. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Gabe and I wound up, Mr. Gabe Casey from a past episode or 12, we actually ran up to the town of Albany, Minnesota, which is kind of near St. Cloud, about an hour and a half northwest, I think, of Twin Cities.
Couldn't find anything in North Dakota?
No, we were going to go to Canada, but this seemed a little easier. Gabe won an auction on something. I won't spoil it.
Yeah, we'll hang on to that.
He'll be on the whole show. But let's just say we ran a 9.5-hour hotshot trip with a rented trailer to grab the weirdest thing you could ever win at an auction.
Normal for Gabe Casey. Weird for most people.
Right.
Normal for him.
Right. When you explain it to people and then you say, well, who went with you? Oh, well, Gabe Casey. Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Loaded it, brought it back home. We met some really good people at the American Legion Hall up there.
In Albany?
Of all the places to hang and have a beverage and hang out and have a good time on a Saturday night in Albany, the American Legion's where it's at. Really. Dirt cheap beer. I actually still have. Here, I'll show you guys.
I mean, all I can think is if somebody says they're going to Minnesota, I'm like, it's only 6.5 hours to Minneapolis, St. Paul. But then they're like, oh, no, we didn't go to Minneapolis, St. Paul.
I still got a free drink ticket for there.
Oh, man.
Because they give those out to, VIPs.
Not just anybody, Daryl.
Or people who win the Hammerschlagen competitions. I tell you what, Minnesota, you guys in your travels, you've been through Minnesota, right?
Oh, yeah.
Aren't the people there the coolest?
Oh, yeah.
They're like I know Minnesota.
Wisconsin,
nice.
too. I think there's something about that upper Midwest thing.
Pull tabs, though. Pull tabs is a huge thing up there.
Oh, yeah.
I had no clue.
What do you mean?
At like bars, restaurants, stuff like that, they don't have like the video poker like we have. They have these little pull tab things that the bar distributes or whatever. I don't know. It's probably some lotto situation. I don't understand it. But you get it's kind of like we have scratch-offs.
Yeah.
They sell you these pull tab things, and you just, for like $1 or whatever, and then you just pull these little windows, and it's almost like a slot machine, but it's like paper. And you have to line them up. And if you have stuff with lines on them, well, then you win or whatever. I don't know what happened, Gabe. I won't go into too much detail. But Gabe bought some, and he's like, here you go. And we both pulled some, whatever. None of us won anything. I think he won like another pull tab.
Yeah.
And then he gave some to some other dude in the bar. And I don't recall much of what happened after that night, but I think someone he gave them to won like $250.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Which is like, when you guys go to the casino and your one friend wins and everyone else is like sitting at the bar, like, I already blew my $50. I'm done.
Yeah.
And your buddy's upstairs with the shades on and the Texas Hold'em tournament. You're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But
was
you're at
kinda
the
like
American Legion, so $250. I mean, that's 250 beers, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you get a plaque on the wall. I'm pretty sure. Or maybe they give you your own mug, your own beer stein, and they just hang it on a hook and say, see you next time. No, seriously, Minnesota's awesome. People are great, and there's a lot of old stuff in the weeds, old farm equipment, old trucks. Just, there's so much to see up there. But
I was impressed. I mean, for you don't... I mean, I don't want to say you're a man of repetition, but you don't get out of the state very much, it doesn't seem like.
No.
So for you to make this adventure with Gabe, I was like, there's no way those guys went on.
Yeah, we did. We drove up in terrible weather. And again, this is all another show because there's a lot there.
Okay. All right,
but
we won't
save
spoil
it.
too much.
I'll save it for that. It was a good time. I do want to go back to, at some point, the world's largest truck stop in Wolcott.
Yeah.
The I-80 truck stop.
Is that where Zombie Burger's at, or is that somewhere else?
No, it's got some... There's food court and weird stuff in there, too. I don't know. But there's that truck museum. And we didn't have time. We were kind of on a tight schedule, but it's free admission. You can go see, and they've got restored like Diamond T's and Mack Model B's and like really cool old semis, which you never really see old stuff like that. So
Sure.
Would have been cool to do, but instead I think we just got like some Gatorade and Jack Links and kept going, which is also fun. Road trips are fun because you eat garbage.
Yeah.
That's great. And the other thing is I'm working on another carb rebuild. Yeah. I got a guy in my car club who's like,
Oh,
hey.
you must have heard the last show.
No, it was someone else in the club's like, hey, Daryl rebuilds carbs. Like, oh, really? And then the next meeting, I got it's like a shoebox with a Holly 2-barrel in
Yeah,
it.
speaking of, you haven't given me the receipts so I can get you paid on the one you actually did because it was on the clock.
You're fine.
No.
Did that one for the Jeep, did it get back on?
It still sits there in the box after the urgency was pressed on me.
Really?
Yeah, so we'll get it on there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because I'm wondering if that little vent is going to hold that repair that I did with the epoxy.
Was that a float? No. What was that?
No, it's like a vent. It's like a check valve, like a vacuum check valve goes on the top, and it was all cracked. But you had to like drill out rivets and stuff, and like the replacement ones that I saw online didn't look anything like that. So I'm like, I'm just going to epoxy this and call it good. It'll probably be fine.
Yeah,
but maybe not. But probably.
So what do you got going on? What do you got cooking, Tim?
Oh, my gosh. For next season, I need better damping. So I'm going to have to tear the suspension apart and get those revalved.
What do you got on our coilovers?
Yeah, it's I got BC coilovers, like just the Taiwanese, off the shelf, and they've gotten me this far.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody who drove the car this year said it just needs better damping. It's a little bumpy. I'm getting porpoising and some of the rougher, sweeping.
Porpoising.
That's a good term.
Yeah.
It's porpoising.
Hard on tires.
Coming up for air.
That's kind of a... Like, I had only heard that term a few times until this year for Formula One, and then all of a sudden it's like, what are they doing about the porpoising? All the cars are porpoising. I'm like, wow, if this was a drinking game, I know, right? So yeah, a little more horsepower. It's hard to find parts for a Ford Escort ZX2, but I'm looking for an adjustable intake cam gear, and we might go E85 with it. I've got some bigger ITBs from a GSX-R 1000 that I'm going to throw on there.
Nice.
Yeah, we are going to play around with velocity stack length and just dyno it like an entire day. Just change the length of the stacks, find out what size I need.
Side note, you pop the hood, somebody sees ITBs on that, do they just lose their mind?
Everybody flocks. Like, oh my gosh.
What's
like,
this?
I think I took the car to a Cars and Coffee once, which I'm not a Cars and Coffee kind of guy.
Yeah?
Unless there's like a Lancia Fulvia or something, like something super weird that
Sure.
nobody else is looking at, right? I'm not the supercar kind of guy. I don't want to see another Hellcat,
Yeah.
So
Another Camaro with like the Transformers sticker on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I took it out there and like nobody went and looked at it or said anything or anything. I was like, wow. But I take it to an autocross and I'm just like, I pop the hood and everybody flocks. Like, oh my God, like, how'd you do that? They ask me questions about it. Yeah. So it's definitely a conversation piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so you're stepping up. You're going with the GSXR ones.
GXR 1000 is going for a leader bike here. Yeah.
I'm going to hot rod my Escort with motorcycle parts.
Yeah. So I'm going from a 38 millimeter throttle body to a 42 times 4.
Do you have like a whiteboard in your garage with like all these notes of things?
No.
It's literally all in the head.
I went up against Greg Anthony. He's got a Neon ACR and FSP. I went up against him at Spring Nationals. This guy has a book. I mean, he's been doing this for, 2 decades. He has a little notebook where he measures his tire pressures, every little adjustment he makes to his car. And between the Pro Solo and the Solo the next day, the regular autocross, he changed out his spring rates. He just like popped the car up in the air and changed out. I'm not that guy.
You don't dabble with engineering.
I dabble with stuff. I with suspension settings and with tire pressures and things like that. But like I'm a set it and forget it kind of guy with like modifications. I want to arrive and focus on my driving because my driving is what needs the most improvement.
I have noticed a few folks that are into autocross, and they focus on the tuning
right
before above all else.
Right,
and it's like. You can't make any adjustments until you get to a point where you run consistently with the settings being what they are, with you being where you're at, more than a couple times.
So right now I'm all about eliminating noise. So and what I mean by that is I want the car to be as consistent as possible so that I know when I'm making an improvement. So I do adjust tire pressures every run, but I take it down to whatever I had the run before. I don't sit there and say, oh, well, if I take a little more pressure out, I might get more grip on this end of the car.
You watch for changes. You have like a baseline? And
I just keep the tire pressures at the same pressure all day long, and then I can see where I'm making improvements. I mean, if the back of the car is really loose, I might drop the rear pressures another 2 pounds or something to get it to stick better. But
nothing crazy.
Yeah. So like most people, like you said, they go out there and they worry about tuning the car. It's like that all gets lost in the noise because your consistency between each run is not great. So
yeah, that's the issue.
You might make a good adjustment to the car, but be slower because you took a line wrong or something. So I'm trying to get to that point where I'm consistent and then I can change the car, but I don't think I'm that consistent yet.
Well, besides revalving, what are some of the other things you're looking to do for next year?
Really that's that and getting a little more horsepower out of it. I need to lighten the car up a bit. I did have a project that I thought about doing. It's really weird. The
guy with the ZX2 says this is really weird. I'm interested.
No.
Have my attention.
No, this is weird.
He's going to hollow out the whole body and just have like it's going to be like a stock car.
I don't think anyone's ever thought about doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
So in my car, there's a lot, like a really slow steering rack. So you have to like move the steering wheel a lot. I'm doing a lot of shuffling on especially local courses where there's tight turnarounds and 180s. I'm doing a lot of shuffling with the wheel. Whereas in the Spider, I can just keep my hands on the wheel and just kind of cross my arms over. At the Escort, I can't do that. I can get a smaller steering wheel, but that still doesn't change the steering angle, like the amount of shuffling I'll need to do. And I cannot change the steering rack or any of the steering geometry.
Why is that?
Class.
It's just the rules. So like in Street Prepared, I can update, backdate. I can like swap in a rack from a different car, but of all the cars on the that I could swap it to that I'm allowed to, they're all like a slower steering ratio. So like it just is pointless. So what I want to do is I want to put a planetary gear system inside the steering wheel because the rules say I can have any steering wheel. So if I were to put a planetary system where the steering...
Do they make those for trucks or something? Or?
No, I don't think... I've never seen anything like this.
I've seen them on hot rods.
Really?
I've seen them on...
I've seen steering wheel quickeners, which is in the steering column.
Yeah, I've seen them on... Yeah, I've seen them externally mounted on a firewall on like a Model A, Model T hot rod where you don't have a lot of room to work with.
Right.
But not inside a steering wheel.
So basically my steering wheel, I'd have to have some kind of like... Basically, one set of gears has to be stationary. So you've got a ring gear, you have your planetary gears, 3 planetary gears, and then you have your solar gear in the middle. And one of those has to stay stationary. So I'm going to have to find a way of like putting, axles out to like kind of interfere, like engage with the steering column because I can't change the steering column. And then basically I'll be doing a 3-to-2 gear reduction. So every 2 turns of the steering wheel, it would turn the shaft 3.
Yeah. Yep. I'm actually the gears are turning in my head right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like you could probably get some stock from Flaming River or one of those other companies that makes rack stuff, and And then, how would you?
So I found that electronic mountain bikes have these planetary gear reduction.
Oh,
is that how they? Is that like how they change speeds?
No, it's how they decrease the amount of torque coming out of it. Because I mean, you have too much torque on a mountain bike, you're going to break stuff, or you're just going to spin your wheels, right? So it's a way of like kind of reducing the torque. So it would also handle the amount of torque I'm going to put on the wheel. Because I would hate to like turn the wheel and strip out a gear, and all of a sudden I don't have a steering wheel. I'm a passenger.
Right into a
exactly
tree.
So that's my biggest drawback there is like if this thing breaks, I have no steering wheel. But a gear reduction inside of steering wheel.
Patent it, and then you can retire.
Absolutely. And should we black out this section of the show so nobody knows?
No,
what
I have asked people. At nationals and everything, like I asked people, like, is this a thing that I could do? And they said, well, you could probably do it for 1 year, and then there will be a rule written about you. And the more I talk to these old schoolers who have been around for decades autocrossing, they all take pride in having a rule written about them.
That's awesome.
So like Jose Hernandez down in St. Louis, he's like, they said that you had to have a jack stand under the car when you're working on it. But I didn't have the car jacked up high enough, and I just needed to get a cone out from underneath it. So I just took a jack stand and laid it on its side and slid it under the car.
It has to be touching the car.
So he said, now there's a rule that says, like, the car has to be, like, resting on the jack stand. So, like I talked to all these guys, and, like, they have rules written about them. I want a rule written about me.
That's a legacy.
That'll be my legacy.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
That's the greatest thing to pass along to future generations.
Right.
Here's a rule book.
Dude, you oyered. What?
Yeah. And all these people complain about how long the rule book is getting. It's because of guys like me.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. We want to throw in some news? We got time for news, Daryl?
Yeah, just a couple. I probably could skip some of this stuff.
You sounded just like Jay Leno when you said, let me
tell you. Yeah, it says everybody knows he is doing okay-ish.
Have you talked to him lately?
Yeah, he's on speed dial. Okay. Now, Jay Leno, as everybody may or may not know, was in a really, really, really bad accident in his garage shop. Last week, I guess it was. He was clearing out a clogged fuel line on a 1907 white steam-powered car. He's got several of these things. He's got like Stanley Steamers. He's got a couple whites. The whites was very interesting, huge, almost looks like a train running down the road. Really neat car. And people kind of wonder, like, well, what the heck's going on? If it's a steam-powered car, what's he messing with gasoline? It was a gasoline fire, got into his hands. He was underneath the car working on a clogged fuel line. And I guess when it all went down, explosion, he got burned, second, third degree burns on his arms and his face mostly. Not cool. So he's actually been recuperating at Grossman Burn Center in Los Angeles. His buddy Tim Allen, another gearhead friend of his, of course, stopped by, and TMZ was out in the parking lot, just ambushed him. It was terrible. But he's like, the question was great, though. It was like, how's Jay doing? He's like, oh, he's doing fine. How is his face? And he's like, well, he didn't have that great of a face to begin with. Like, Tim Allen was riffing, right? But it's like, we'll see what they got to work with or whatever. Yeah. And it was funny because it's like, that's the kind of stuff that Jay probably was, he probably saw that on the 6 o'clock news and was like, that's funny. Yeah. That's good. But he's doing well, and as obviously everybody's worried about him. Everybody in the hobby is also taking it as an opportunity to kind of, reach out and wish him well. But Hemmings wrote an interesting article, though, and they were like, gasoline, steam-powered car, what's up? Well, a lot of the early steam cars used either gasoline, kerosene, anything that was flammable back then to run the pilot and the main burner to keep the boiler heated to generate the steam.
Got it.
So you'd still have to pressurize. This is, again, before the days of like electric fuel pumps or even mechanical pumps at this point. They used either gravity feed or a pressurized feed to prime and run the system. And I guess they speculated that he might have been using compressed air to blow out a clogged fuel line, and it might have the spray might have atomized, and as we know, kind of spark.
And that's what I've heard, the fuel atomized.
Yeah, it could be like from a shop light. It could be from anything that creates a spark.
Right. Yeah. There's a video on YouTube. I think he did something with Hemmings or something where he went over the process of how to start the boiler on that car, the 30 horsepower one that he has.
Yeah.
And it was a 20-minute procedure. Like I watched the video because there's links to it now on a lot of the news sites. Mm-hmm. At one point there's just like fuel that's dripping from the bottom of the car on fire, and he's just like, oh yeah, that's just how it is. Like
Yeah.
It's quite a process, and it's dangerous.
It's scary.
Yeah.
And even working on, my old stuff over the years, or working on Gabe's Chrysler that has a weird vacuum tank fuel pump delivery system.
You want to stand back in case it goes?
Well, it's just part of life. Now everything's contained. I mean, we don't even smell fuel anymore. No. I mean, everything's got charcoal canisters and return lines. And so when you have an old car, even if it's something made from up until the 70s or 80s, and you park it in a garage overnight, you come out there, the first thing you smell it smells kind of gassy.
It's funny you say that, because when you look at old cars, they always have that smell to them, whereas new cars don't. That charcoal canister sitting on the fuel tank is doing its job.
Oh,
When it sits there in your garage and you hear that buzzing noise, what's that? I don't know what's going on. My car's broken.
Right.
No, it's technology doing its job. So
exactly.
You don't smell gas and oil in your garage.
Right. And it's a good thing, because the stuff at the end of the day, it's a good reminder for everybody. And Jay's a seasoned old car guy, gearhead. He works on, obviously he's got mechanics, but he's still in there in the trenches working on his old cool stuff. He's no stranger to the dangers of shop life, but it's a good reminder for everybody, even with years of experience as a hobbyist or as a professional mechanic, engineer, whatever. It's always dangerous. Anything you're doing in a shop is dangerous, and you can never let your guard down.
I always think of Richard Hammond. Richard Hammond has been in terrible accidents doing Top Gear, but he still comes back. So I'm thinking Jay didn't see anything compared to what Hammond sees, and he still loves the hobby.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten blown up in a jet car,
right?
Twice or whatever.
Exactly.
So, now that's pretty much the only news, and I did want to just throw a little shout out the 2023 Prius.
I'd like to talk about this. So let's talk about this real quick. So.
Go for it.
This was sourced from Toyota. The new 2023 Prius turns heads at the Los Angeles Auto Show. Turn up my vision here. The all-new Prius, it's the most fuel-efficient Prius ever, with the manufacturer estimated 57 miles per gallon combined. It features a fresh, sporty exterior and a fifth-gen hybrid powertrain with 196 horsepower. That's a lot of horsepower for Prius, folks.
Yeah. What is it now, 60 or something? It's not. It's
120, I think, is what they're. Yeah. Following suit, the 2023 Prius Prime notably boasts a larger lithium-ion battery, increasing its EV range by 50%. Both models updated with new tech offerings for enhanced connectivity and the latest Toyota Safety Sense system. 22 years later, the legacy and nameplate progresses forward and highlights Toyota's diverse approach to carbon neutrality. I kind of have a problem with the fact that this 200 horsepower is the thing they're doing, and I hate to be that guy, but...
that's the point they're talking about?
Yeah, everybody's talking about how it actually is faster off the line than... I'm trying to remember what model car it was, but our Celica or MR2 or something like
quick,
that. Yeah, something like that. And I'm like, you don't buy a Prius because of that feature. So do we need 200 horsepower, or was the 200 horsepower a byproduct of having a better drivetrain in this car? Oh, by the way, it just happens to rate up higher because we have a stronger EV motor in there. I don't know.
Could be. They could also be using that, though, as one of the big turnoffs for folks... if you wanted a Prius, you would have bought it already.
And I'm a two-time Prius owner, so maybe this is why this rankles me a little bit.
I think it's and I've driven a couple Priuses. They're great. They're great cars. They merging onto an expressway is not something that I would want to do in a Prius. Old school Prius, right? Yeah. This one, if you start throwing around, hey, they finally got some. They're more powerful, they're quicker, and they're more efficient. Okay, you start throwing 200 horsepower, maybe I'll give it another shot. I don't know. I'm just trying to.
Well, no, that's fine. But and part of me says, well, what if we only had 150 horsepower, but this thing got 63 miles a gallon? Mm-hmm. Why didn't we think? What's the trade-off here? Again, I don't know the engineering logistics of why we end up where we're at. But 57, okay, that's a great number. But 57 still, to me, seems like a low number for cars today with all the technology and everything we have. I feel like we should be at 60 or 70 miles per gallon in some of these cars. Maybe I'm a dreamer.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think because weren't those people doing that? They hacked their Prius and was getting 99 miles per gallon, hypermile stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's fun. That's appealing. But real world, what is it? 57?
Horrible. I get customers telling me all the time they're getting 60 on their Prius. So it depends on how you drive. If you're 45 miles an hour, for an hour a day, you're going to get excellent fuel economy. If you're the type of guy who gets on the interstate like my wife does, type of gal. And you're doing 90 miles an hour for 20 minutes, guess what? That Prius fuel economy is about 42 or 43.
Yeah.
So,
right.
But it's still better than what we've had before.
Man, I filled my 4Runner up yesterday, $85.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, there's 300 miles I'm going to get out of that. And that's not good fuel economy.
I have the 36-gallon tank on my F-150. fill-ups are painful.
Yeah.
But you can do them in Missouri, right?
Well, in Missouri, thankfully, it's like $3.09 a gallon.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to say, it was my wife was down in St. Louis a couple weeks ago. She's like, gas is $2.97.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're kidding. It was like $4.39 here.
Right.
I'm like, you're kidding me.
Right.
But
there was like 2 weeks where Illinois was actually cheaper than Missouri because they did that gas tax holiday thing, which I think is still going, but the prices have still come up.
Well, the gas stations figured out, hey,
exactly,
going to lower the taxes, we'll just raise the prices.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, what else are you going to do? Where are you going to go?
Nowhere. I'm in Tennessee. I'm like laughing all the way to the gas station. In Arkansas, same thing. I'm like, oh my God, it's so cheap.
Yep.
But as soon as you cross into Illinois, it's like crazy.
I never fill up in Illinois.
We're like frogs in a boiling pot. We just didn't realize how high it got here until we step outside the pot, and we're like, oh, it's
that's true.
Better out here.
And even Central, I'm going to throw this in here. Central Illinois is more expensive in a lot of cases than the collar counties of Chicago.
Dude, Tazewell County is like 20 cents more expensive than McLean.
Yeah.
And I'd love to know where that money's going.
I've heard
what is it
explained.
here in Tazewell right now?
The gas?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even look. Do you? I mean, do you really even look? I just.
It was $3.90. It was actually dropped. It was.
Okay. I was saying the whole way up here. Like I always pay attention to like Springfield. I didn't go by Decatur today, but like it was like still 380s. Yeah, 360s. So.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I feel bad for anybody that bought a diesel in the last few years too, because the whole trip to and back from Minnesota, I was looking at stuff, and diesel was like $5.59.
I'm kind of glad I got the gasser as a tow rig. I got the 3.5 EcoBoost, the twin turbo V6 with the 10 speed, and it's the Gen 2, so it has the port and the direct injection, so I don't have to worry about the carbon buildup on the valves. But
do you like it?
I love it.
Yeah, it pulls well.
It pulls really well. It's even decent daily driver. I hate large vehicles. I like Escorts and Fiatas and things like that.
Sure.
In fact, I would love to get a Suzuki Cappuccino someday, but it does all the things I need it to do. But towing it gets like 8 miles to the gallon.
Yeah.
Regularly, it's like 17 to 20.
So there's no way around that. I mean,
no.
That's
$160 fuel up or fill ups. It's
getting
old.
That's tough. Yeah, 30. That's a big tank, man.
It is.
Yeah.
You know what's fun about that Tundra though? Towing that thing back to and from. We towed an empty trailer up there and then back with it. It got the same.
Yeah.
It was like
they don't change at all.
It was like 12.8.
Right.
And it just did it.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And they dropped the trailer, and it was like not much better. But
Right.
no, it's cool. It is nice having a good tow rig, because I do see some folks that'll compromise on it. They'll be like, well, I'm only gonna tow a couple times a year. I don't need to get like the 3.5, or I don't need to get the this or that, and they kind of undersize it. And then when they do actually use it as a truck, they're like, this thing sucks now.
Mine's not bad. In fact, I drive the truck more than I drive the Fiata, because when I drive the Fiata, I like to use the noisy pedal, and so I'm only getting a couple more miles per the gallon better in the 1.4 liter Fiata than I am the truck.
Yeah, you drive the Supra or something like that, and you're like, oh, this gets better fuel economy. Well, not when you stab it to the ground every time you launch. Yeah,
I love the noises it makes. So yeah,
a friend of mine,
this thing doesn't get any better than my Tundra.
Right.
A friend of mine, when I had my Mustang, I was complaining about gas mileage, and he said, keep your foot out of it, you idiot.
Right.
And I'm like, oh yeah,
but I don't want to drive it that way. It's not why I bought it.
Right.
Yeah.
the noisy pedal.
All right, we're going to skip a moment of must, because Elon. This is unprecedented.
Is it peak Elon season?
I think Elon has been in the
I feel
news
like
so
it
much.
needs its own show.
Yeah.
The
Elon Chronicles.
Trying to run Twitter like it's a startup again.
Yeah. There was actually some news about the guys who ran off and tried to save our friend Carlos. Yeah, I think one of them got released from Japan. I was going to put that in the news, but we had other stuff going on. So
we'll hit it up.
Yeah, we'll skip that. Guess what? That news story will continue to go and go. But there was something I did want to note.
What's that?
This is in the national news. Teslas flooded during Hurricane Ian are spontaneously igniting in its aftermath. Have you heard that story?
No.
There was a little bit.
That's the one thing that kind of concerns me about electric cars, is having a giant lithium fire starter in your garage.
In your garage, exactly. All right, so this was...
We're going to have AFFF... like airplane hangar style fire suppression systems in our garage now.
The Department of Transportation in Florida is actually watching this too. Authorities say saltwater corroded batteries are causing fires and often reignite themselves after being extinguished.
It's a delta fire. It creates its own oxygen.
Yeah. Well,
wait. Seriously?
Yeah, lithium. It's a metal. So that's
class
like, D. It's a delta fire,
like magnesium or something like that.
When we had these in the Coast Guard, like if the helicopter went on fire, I was actually a rescue salvageman as one of my duties on the boat. Wow. I was in an asbestos lined a hot potato looking suit on the back whenever we do hot in flight refuels and things. If that helicopter ever had an incident on the deck the way you put out the fire is to push it overboard.
That's it.
The $30 million HH-60 Jayhawk would go in the drink because you can't put out a Delta fire with, fire.
And so that's why if it's
equipment
creating
on
its
the
own
boat.
oxygen underwater, it's still burning.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you ever shoot a flare off into the water?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It still burns.
What's in a flare?
It's like usually magnesium or phosphorus. It's a metal.
I'm learning so much today.
Metal fires create their own oxygen. So
that's cool. That's probably fine.
Right.
That's probably fine.
So I brought up this article, and we can put a link to it. But like I said, Florida's watching this, and Mr. Fort, he lost his house to a fire during Hurricane Ian, and it flooded. Which was terrible enough. There's pictures of water all the way up to his soffits at his house, and trashed the house. Well, the day later, his neighbor who stayed and watched the whole thing said, hey, your house is burning down. Well, he was one of many houses in Florida that burned down because Mike has a RAV4 EV in his garage. Oh. And the RAV4 EV, if you don't know, is basically a Tesla from 2014.
Oh, like the one, the one at your dealer?
Yeah.
One of those white ones?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so, the flood comes in, and we talk about this all the time at work because we're geeks with this stuff. If you're going to neutralize a Tesla battery or an EV battery or even just a lithium-ion battery, our instructions through Toyota are basically buy a kiddie pool at Walmart, throw 2 containers of Morton salt in there, let it brine, and then dip the battery uncovered in there and just let it just eat.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do before you can transport it. We can't do anything with this thing.
Because it discharges it, makes it...
Yeah, neutralize it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the problem is when you have... And I don't care what it is, if it's Tesla or Rivian or whatever... If you have a battery that's still encased in probably a coolant sleeve of some sort, mostly protected except for where the connector goes into the battery, you're going to have this open space where oxygen is going to transfer out. It's going to let a little bit of water in there, and then salt water is a conductor. At that point, if the floodwaters recede, now we have salt water intermixed in these battery terminals.
Right.
And that thing's going to eat. It's just going to start getting hot.
It's going to change the internal resistance of the battery as well.
Yeah, and it's going to start cooking itself.
So so a couple weeks ago when you said something about there was house fires after the flood down there. My brain is like, everything's wet.
Right.
I'm from the Midwest.
Yeah. But the power went out, so there's no power. So what's causing these fires?
It's all these EVs.
And they're watching it very closely. So now, let's think about insurance rates. If you live on the coast, if you live in a floodplain, and you have an EV.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now, what is that? Does that change the dynamic of insurance companies?
Why?
Did they even think about this type of stuff?
That's what I was going to say. Did anybody...
There's an actuarial table being made right now.
Well, it's the same thing when we talked about like Rivian having all the cold weather issues. It's like, here's this great invention in a laboratory, but we put it in a real-world application, and, maybe this isn't great, or we need to refine, or we need to... whatever. But you can't tell me, like... Remember the Dreamliner? They had all those issues with the cockpit recorders and stuff, the lithium blowing up cockpits, and they grounded them all during testing. Like, have we not learned, like, real-world applications in some instances introduce things like moisture, the heat, the temperature extremes, like all these things that we will deal with when there's millions of these things roaming the earth?
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be Sally. I'm just trying to be a Debbie Downer on this whole thing, but at the same time.
What's the solution, though?
I don't know.
So these cars get flooded, and much like any other flood car, they probably get taken to a Copart or some facility, some holding pen until they can process, recycle them, whatever. But they're a fire hazard, right?
Definitely a fire hazard. So that was the other thing. As part of this, there was a tweet from the Secretary of Transportation of Florida, and he showed a holding facility with all the totaled out cars.
Oh, yeah, I see it here.
And it shows like hundreds of these cars smashed together.
Yeah.
Is gassers, but look at the electric cars.
Oh, wow.
They spread them out.
Yeah.
Because they're going to, if they go up in fire, they're just going to spread and spread.
Well, isn't that when that container ship caught on fire with all the Porsches and
it took the whole ship down.
Yeah.
That's right. That was the
Porsche
Taycans
and that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's a whole different dynamic, something to think about in the future. I don't know. The future.
In the year 2000.
In the year 2000.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So everybody, sorry, Elon. It's just one more reason that,
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
All right. That theme song, that tells you folks, don't know if you know this. Daryl and I sometimes look at cars online. Sometimes. And then we share them with each other by Facebook Messenger. Yeah. Sometimes even sometimes Gabe just buys stuff, so it's not even that much fun.
Yeah, he didn't even share it. It just appears.
But the Cars of the Week segment is where Daryl and I have done our dreaming, and anymore I don't even show it to my wife. I send it to the group chat. Say, hey, guys, what do you think about this? I'm not going to buy it, but it's really cool. That's Cars of the Week. We dream about it, we scheme about it, but we usually don't pull the trigger.
Tim, you don't look online at cars, do you?
I do. In fact, I'm pulling up my Facebook right now just to tell you guys about this page. There's a Facebook page called, there used to be one called Obscure Cars for Sale.
Yes, it's a good group. Are you in that?
It was until everybody was like, here's a 1989 Grand Am. Like, it's not obscure.
It's not obscure.
Just because it's a Survivor doesn't mean it's...
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
So this one is called Obscure Cars for Sale 3.0 because 2.0 sucks. And it has been the best Facebook group for obscure cars.
I'll have to hop on that.
Yeah, I got to get an invite.
All right, so I'm going to start this off this week.
You're going vintage, my friend.
I am. So there was a car that popped up that was on like a Sotheby's auction site. It was invaluable.com. It was a 1971 Toyota Crown, but it was a sedan, and it was pretty cool. And they said the auction value was probably $1,500 to $3,000. It was in like a nice army green. It was a cool car, but
it was. I think you sent me a link to it.
Yeah, and it was a barn find. I mean, it was nothing special, but the Crown is coming back as a new model for Toyota here next year. Should be super cool, but I didn't even realize these cars still floated around. So I did a Google search. Actually, I went to Car Gurus because that's still one of the best sites online to find obscure stuff. Yeah, there's a 1968 Toyota Crown wagon for sale in Cadillac, Michigan. It's $12,000. Now, it seems like a premium, but I got that cool magazine, that Test Drive magazine a couple months ago, and I think it was 1968 in that magazine. But one of the things I saw was a picture of a guy sitting sideways in the third row because the seat didn't pop up and face backwards like a Buick Roadmaster. It actually faced the passenger side, so two people could sit there and look out the passenger side. And then if you got in a T-bone accident, you can make sure their heads went right through the glass. But anyway, this car is super cool. It's a milky tan color, that classic 60s color. It's a 1968 Toyota Crown wagon. It still runs and looks great. Fun to drive, all original inside and out. Will need paint, but not much more. Vehicle is on consignment at our client's home. It looks totally cool. The Crown is actually a much bigger car than I can even imagine Toyota making today. I mean, it's almost like a Ford sedan or a Chevy sedan from that era. It'd be fun to have something big like that.
It reminds me of an Edsel wagon.
Yeah, it does kind of have some like Ford-like trim on it and stuff. I've never. You ever seen one of these in the flesh?
No, I have not.
I've never heard of a Crown.
I've seen. I bet the oldest Toyota of that vintage is like a mid-'70s Cressida that I've seen.
I was going to say, is this like pre-Cressida?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Crown is basically the Crown became the LS 400 here in the United States.
Okay.
So as the car progressed over the years, it got bigger and bigger, but then they didn't take the Crown badge and bring it over here. A lot of the premium cars from Japan turned into Lexus models.
Yeah.
And of course, Lexus can't name anything. You got to put like letters and numbers behind everything.
Yeah, like a Mercedes or something. Yeah. Here's your Crown wagon. I'm looking at old advertising there.
Totally cool.
It looks very American.
It does. It does. It reminds me of my grandfather's Ford when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the wagon has more of that European look, almost like maybe one of your old Volvos or something.
I was going to say the greenhouse for sure is like 240, 140 series.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bigger. It looks like a big car.
It does look like that back seat with that third row that pops up like that.
Would that be like an inline six, you think?
Probably.
At that size?
I had to guess.
Is the new Crown going to be a crossover?
Yeah. Well, the new Crown is basically a Venza on steroids. It's going to be a little bit more low slung, more of a luxury sedan.
Okay.
Yeah, all-wheel drive, hybrid. I think they're all going to be hybrids.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is my pick, and it's a little vintage. It's probably the oldest thing I've picked in a long time if it wasn't like some kind of a European little convertible.
Right, something cute. It's cool. I approve of that purchase. I think you should.
Thank you, sir.
Get $12,000 cash and head to Michigan. I think you should do.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even talk to the wife on this one. Actually, your car looks super cool, so I'm going to sit back and admire your selection. Well,
this was kind of a random thing. It wasn't Obscure Cars for Sale. It was some other channel I think I was following, and it's a guy from the UK who just like spotlights old British cars.
Car Cave, Scotland?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a website, you know.
Oh.
So I followed this dude, and he was talking about the Ford Corsair. Now, I've heard of the Ford Cortinas,
right?
And everybody, you know, that's kind of a little bit interested in European stuff probably knows about like the Ford.
The Anglia.
The Anglias, the Escort Mark 1s and 2s that were all over like Colin McRae, rally, early stuff, right? But I never heard of this guy. And the Corsair, I think of that. It's another Edsel reference.
Right.
Ford Edsel used that it was a trim series of Edsels. I think it was the top of the line. But apparently they used this thing over in the UK, and it was designed in the same time as like the 6123 Thunderbird. So this has a very similar front end treatment, but it also kind of looks like an old school Mazda, like GL sedan from like the 70s.
Oh yeah,
it's just a weird mashup of stuff.
From that angle, it looks RX-3-ish.
Yeah. Good call. The big, huge headlights, bezels and stuff. Cute little car. It's a 4-door saloon. This originally would have come with a Ford V4, which they ran in a lot of cars for a while.
Like the Quad 4?
Probably worse. But I'm also a Quad 4 GM apologist, as you know. Yeah. But this thing, it would have run the V4, but somebody swapped in the earlier Ford 1500, which was a, I can't remember what, I think I even highlighted this because Tim might appreciate. Oh, the Kent inline 4-cylinder.
The old Kent engine, yeah.
Which was
they used to run that in the open wheel Formula cars as well.
Did they?
In England, yeah.
It seemed like that was also kind of a popular swap for a lot of the other British, like MGs or Triumphs or something. If you grenaded your motor, you're like, well, I've got this 1500 out of my mom's car or whatever. Right. Just pop that in. This thing's a cute little blue sedan, 4-door with a 4-speed on the floor. It's from South Africa, but it was imported to the UK, so there's not a lot of rust. And it looks like this thing has kind of been played around with a little bit, but still looks like a stock car. I don't think these had a whole lot of racing pedigree, just because I just don't. But maybe someone out there in La La Land will tell me. The funny part about this, too, is of that era, all the British cars seem like all the wheels are the same, like stamped steel wheels, little holes for the vent for the brakes, and then the little cute little chrome hubcap. They're like 165 80-13 tires. I don't even think you can find those anymore.
No, it's getting really hard to find 13-inch tires right now. Because I was thinking about going down to 13s on the Escort. You can't find wheels or tires.
Yeah. Even 14s on some of the.
14's like an obsolete size.
Yeah, it's getting tough.
Hoosier doesn't even make a 14 anymore.
BF Goodrich, I think, does. Like, you can get a radial TA and like Cooper Cobra. Cobras. I think you can still find them sometimes. But yeah, it's just it's weird. Anyways, that was my pick. It was a cheap little sedan. I think it'd be fun, but also talk about.
You have to add shipping though, so it wouldn't be that.
Yeah.
All right.
So about $4,000, which with the. Well, I'm sorry, 4,000 pounds, which if you do the conversion rate's like 4,700 US.
Dude, the conversion rate's stupid right now. Because I bought Aiden some stuff from England, some Warhammer stuff for Christmas. It was like $1 for $1. I mean, it used to be, you're paying 2 for 1. Now's the time to buy anything British.
Let's go. Yeah. Let's buy British right now.
As a matter of fact, I should go on vacation to Stonehenge like next week. Anyway.
Well, I'm angling to go over to the UK here in the spring. So we'll see. Maybe I'll pack one of those in my luggage.
There you go. Tim, do you know the rules of the game?
I do.
Do you understand
I was going to break the rules this time because you guys are like, well, what car have you been looking at to buy? And I was like, well, I want to downsize my stable. Could I just say that there's a 2018 Fiat Spider Abarth for sale and try to sell my car, but
and we throw you out promptly.
Right. So,
but if you know a guy.
I went and found a car to play by the rules. I'm just pulling up the link now. There's nothing special about it.
Well, that's okay.
But it's a Mazda 323 GTX, 1988.
Yes.
So the GTX was the all-wheel drive model.
Hatchback, right?
Yeah, hatchback with that little tiny wing on the bottom, and
turn.
It's like a kind of a gray powder blue.
Yeah. That's a cool little
car. Bit of rust over the wheel arches and that. So this car is a BG chassis, just like the Ford Escort ZX2. I actually have like the shocks for my car on the race car are from a 323 GTX. They're a direct swap to the Escort because they don't list the Ford ZX2 on any coilover website or anything. It's like they never made parts for it, so you have to pick parts off of other cars. So it's a manual transmission in Plymouth, Michigan, 146,000 miles. Just found it Facebook. It looks like it's already pending sale.
Dude, that's a fun-looking little car.
But yeah,
Reminds
yeah.
me of my Dodge Colt from the 80s.
Yeah, but add a turbo and all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And
So-
then you got something. That's cool.
The guy bought it to rallycross and ended up not having time to do it, and that's exactly what I wanted to do with this car. So I mean, it's $3,800, and I want to decrease the stable, so that's not going to happen. But I have been talking to a few of my friends, and what I would like to do is the 100 Acre Wood Rally in Rolla, Missouri.
Yes.
It's a Rally America stage rally
Yes.
in the central Missouri area, and there was a guy, I guess.
Have you been to any of those?
I haven't. I keep meaning to like be
because
a
northern
course marshal or
Wisconsin they do them
something,
too, but I think
yeah.
that's a further drive than going down to the 100 Acre Woods.
It is. I mean, 100 Acre Wood for me is
Well, for you, 'cause, yeah, you're in St. Louis area. Yeah.
Two, maybe 3. I don't know, but I would love to be a course marshal or something
Yes.
like that. Just help out.
Is it a winter rally?
It is.
Okay.
It's like February or early March. So yeah, I would love to just slap some snow tires on a 323 GTX, throw a roll cage in it real quick,
Yes.
and just
Give it
have
hell.
a ball. There was a guy like a number of years ago who took like a E30 BMW, put a cage in it. He bought the car for like $500, put a cage in it, and won like his class, and then like went on to several other like Rally America stage rallies.
Nice.
And just like didn't dominate, but like he did really well with like a $500 car. I just thought, if I'm gonna like race 80 miles an hour sideways through the trees, I want it to be in a disposable car, like
Yeah, with a cage.
with a cage,
With a cage
with a
in it.
cage. I don't know if you guys ever saw Jeremy Foley's crash on Pikes Peak Hill Climb.
Just like a year or two ago?
No, it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But he went off around Engineers Curve and just tumbled down that mountain. And he and his co-driver's navigator walked away from it because the cage builder was that good.
Yeah.
I mean, when you watch the videos of the thing, you just wonder how anybody survived. And I think they still have the crinkled up car in the museum there at Pikes Peak.
Just put it on display. It's
Yeah.
like a warning, like, hey,
Yeah.
make sure you know.
So, and Jeremy Foley is another guy that you can see out at Nationals too. Just
That's cool.
so many.
So those events, because I always watch Snowdrift, I'm on all of the lists for those rallies,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I want to go up there to Lake Superior Rally and the
Yeah.
Snowdrift Rally. So amateurs race on Saturdays,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And then the
I don't
pros
know.
race on Sundays. I think is
Yeah.
how they do it. Or maybe it's Fridays and Saturdays. Maybe the amateurs race on Fridays.
I'm not sure. I haven't been that serious about going.
Well,
but I want to go.
I really want to go too. I really want to go.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, we need more time.
I know. 100 Acre Wood Rally. Ken Block shows up.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
and
Same thing in Lake Superior
Travis
too.
Pastrana, like all these people.
The big, the big
Oh, yeah,
heavy
the,
hitters.
The household names. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many amateur race teams on Facebook. You can watch, these guys and they'll do live feeds,
Yeah.
from the paddock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you see these beater like Golfs and stuff like that they're racing.
yeah.
Like, it looks like so
I
much fun.
I want to be that guy.
Yeah, I do too.
I was thinking about getting like a Festiva or something like that,
Yeah.
but I think a 323 GTX that'd be a force right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be bucket list material.
Oh, absolutely.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I like the idea. Man, just so many things to do, so little time.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway.
You got to get on Obscure Cars for Sale 3.0,
Yeah.
comma,
Yes.
because 2.0 sucks.
SUX. You got to spell it right, man.
SUX.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to sign up for that one. All right. And with that, I think you've killed another 90 minutes with Throwin Wrenches Podcast. How'd we do, guys?
We did pretty good. Is this a high watermark?
Yeah. I think maybe. I mean, I'll see what I can fish out production on this one.
Okay. You'll definitely do a
I'm
better
going to
job.
massage the keys. We'll see what happens.
I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on my skill set. I'll sharpen up. I'll get back. Tim, thank
Yeah.
you so much. It's been
Thanks
a
for having
pleasure.
me, yeah.
We definitely have to have you up again because it sounds like you don't stay still.
You're
always doing something.
We could
so.
probably do a whole episode on just what I've done to that stupid car. Like it's.
Well, we got
there's
people
a lot
listening.
of
We got
weird
people listeners.
stuff. That's true. That's true.
So,
I'm going to get the Escort Nation on the podcast now. So
go.
yeah, we're about to double your viewership.
We're huge in Michigan.
yeah, well, I think we have four watchers, but we have more listeners than viewers.
That's true.
All right. No, it was awesome to have you, and
Yeah.
you drove a ways to get here, and I think it's going to be a great show. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the feedback from Escort Nation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, I'm Daryl Scott.
I'm Eric Stahl.
And Tim Oyer.
See you next time.
All right.